Well, I'm funny how? It ain't funny like I'm a clown and amuse you.
Oh, it's good to be back.
I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11 where everybody got so sensitive. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
Hello, you don't know? These are no fuckers, though.
I'm as mad as hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore.
You can't handle the truth.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here. I didn't think I'd show up from after last week's episode. This should be interesting. This is the top 10 list. This is when we're going to find out. I'm assuming Koho did all the math behind the scenes. If not, then we're all in real trouble tonight because I don't know what the combined list is. But he's good at his job, so I'm assuming he did it. Twig, you're on the desk.
Yeah.
You won last week, I think. Second win of the season, I think, of this round, of the season. Like, which fucking tournament. Kill me. How do you think you're going to fare tonight? How do you think your overall list? How do you think your grad's going to?
I have two possibly controversial takes. However, I will present my opinion and try to sway the panel into thinking that they are not controversial. Hence the point of the show.
Sure. Carly, you hurt me real bad last week. You hurt me a way I haven't been hurt in a long time on this show. And I know the pain is still coming because one was a yikes. How are you doing tonight? Are you finally glad that your 4-week stint on this show is up after tonight and you don't have to see me next week?
It'll be a nice relief, yes. But anyways, and luckily the one I yikes is very early on, so I'll just leave it at that. But anyways, I don't know. I like my choices. You know, that's why we're all here. So I'm happy to defend them as much as possible. And luckily I'm in a good mood tonight, so hopefully I can take it as well as I can.
True. You still brought up one of the best picks that I didn't think about before, and I've maybe watched that scene a couple more times since you brought it up. Next, Scully denied putting a pulse reader on because he doesn't show a lot of emotion or get upset on the show enough. I need that out of him. He declined to put one on, but tonight I think he may get a little fiery. How do you think you're going to do tonight? With a name like Warhawk, you're pretty timid. So how are you feeling tonight? Well, you're starting off really good because your audio, we can't hear you. So while you figure that out, Warhawk, I'm going to go to Robert. Robert, 260 movies entered. Only I don't know how many made it, but this is the top. This is the top. No, we don't know that. 260 movies is not what.
260 plus
scenes.
Plus more than just over
40,
260 scenes.
40 cut.
Yeah.
This is the top. This is the correct list in your eyes. How do you feel like you're going to do tonight?
I mean, in my eyes, but I have my opinions too. This is 100% when I was making the ranking, the point where I said, fuck it. If I have a lot of scenes from the same movies, I don't care. They're great scenes. I'm doing it. So you'll see a lot of scenes from the same movies that I've had before. But that's just my list for tonight. And I think it's a pretty bog standard list, but apparently these guys have a lot of wild takes still in their top 10. So we'll see.
There's very few things that are certain in this community. One is TWOHIG will cut out, Koho will be bad at math, and recently Thomas Scully will have terrible audio to start off the show.
Yeah, I dropped $100 on AirPods and they don't even work. So that's nice.
Fair.
Yeah,
How do you feel like you're going to do tonight?
I think I'll do well. I think definitely this is my least controversial list so far. I think there's going to be a lot of good takes, but you know what? That could change. Everybody could hate my 10, and that'll be it. There's one that might be a little cliche. One that's definitely going to make Nick TWOHIG mad. So we'll just see how it goes.
I'm excited. The show's going to work like this. Also, just a heads up. I mean, there's one person watching right now, so we're off to a hot start. But if somebody clicks on this video early, next week, it is Rotten Tomatoes under 40%. I need your list in by tonight or tomorrow. If not, I have to change the topic. And I hate changing topics because then I have to find people in shorter notice. So please send me in your movies. I probably won't watch them. I'll probably just tell you they're trash even if I haven't seen them. But how the show's going to work tonight is we're going one apiece across the board till we get to the top 10. Again, shut up rules in full effect. So if you start going on and on about a 3-minute scene, but you've been talking about 14 minutes, I will tell you shut up because you were talking longer than the scene itself. So, Tua, you're going to kick it off. What's your 10?
I think it'll get yikes. It's the interrogation scene from The Dark Knight.
Yikes.
I am shocked. Carly, what is your 10?
Like I said, I'm getting this one out of the way early. It was yikes from very end of was the Superman first flight scene from Man of Steel.
It's my 12.
Yeah.
Big
Robert,
yikes. No,
oh,
absolutely
okay.
not.
All right, start talking about you.
Okay, well, I'll keep it short and sweet since we all love this movie so much. I don't know. I've talked about it before. I think I like Zack Snyder a lot more than I probably should, but I don't know. This scene, mainly the music, just the song by Hans Zimmer is just absolutely fantastic, and that's what makes this scene to me. I mean, the scene's probably just by itself is pretty average, but it's mainly the song choice because I just absolutely love that song. And that basically carries it to me. And I just, and it's just, Superman or, Henry Cavill discovering, being able to fly and being able to do what he can do. So like I said, the big part of it for me was the music. That's why it's so high on this list.
Yeah, this was my 12. If you know me in this community, you know I'm one of the biggest apologists of this film. I love Man of Steel. Especially this scene. However, this scene is, I think, the only one that belongs on the top 40. That I think this is far and away the best scene from the film. Like Nick said, the Hans Zimmer score is phenomenal, but what I really love the most is the little Jor-El, the Russell Crowe Jor-El voice you hear talking to Clark while he's trying to fly, giving him that little pep talk, telling him his reason for being on Earth, why he is there. And the realism of the scene with Clark learning how to fly, like he's not going to learn it right away. So he's going to start jumping, he's going to crash into rocks and canyons and mountains. And then all of a sudden the score swells up, kicks in, and he just blasts right off. It's kind of emotional because you feel like if you're watching this either in a theater or on a big screen, you feel like that you yourself are flying. You feel like that you yourself are flying through the air, experiencing this with Clark, and you're feeling the exhilaration of being able to do something incredible like this for the first time. So I love this scene. I love this film. I'm not going to apologize for it.
I mean, you should. You should apologize for it. That'd be great.
But I'm not trying.
I hate this film. I hate this film. My most recent letterbox. I always was envious of Zod because he gets to leave the movie a lot earlier than I do. I've changed that opinion. I wish I was Jor-El when the planets explode because then I would get out even sooner. Like I wish I was on Krypton at that point so I didn't have to be in the film any longer. I think the scene is cool. Granted, like I think it's cool, but I think like the Iron Man flight scene and stuff like that scenes are cooler than this one. I think the score is pretty cool, but overall, like I personally wish I was flown into the mountain and didn't get back up to hear Jor-El's spark. This movie, I absolutely despise this movie. I think it's close with Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel in my eyes of which one's bad because honestly, Suicide Squad I think is more watchable than these two. What you guys didn't have this. You guys are geeks. You guys like this stuff, nerds, as Andrew Barr would say. So, Parker, why did you miss this brilliant scene?
Well, this isn't the worst thing ever. The movie in general, I'm pretty 50-50 on. The scene is probably one of the better of the film. The thing is, it's Superman's first flight. This is supposed to be the greatest thing ever. Like, It's sort of like when a movie called Justice League comes out and it's just kind of okay. That makes it so much worse because it's called Justice League and it's supposed to be amazing. Maybe I'm being unfair and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot for later in my list. But this scene out of context is pretty cool. But in context, it's like this is supposed to be a fist pumping awesome moment, and I just don't care. It's been meh to this point. It's meh after this point. And I've already seen some of the sort of special effects fighting. I hate the special. I hate the takeoff. Even if it's realistic, I don't like the effects in Man of Steel in general, and that plays into this scene. So not a big fan.
Yeah, I think this is one of the highlights of the movie. I just don't like the movie very much. I think it's fine. It's probably increased on every time I've rewatched it, but like I still don't like it. This is definitely a highlight of the movie. The score is incredible. Absolutely, we'll give you that 110%. Like if we were doing top 10 scores in comic book movie scenes, this might be in the top 3 or 4 or 5. Like this is an incredible score. I just don't think the scene is like that special. It comes after the best scene in the movie, or like a little significantly further after, which is of course Russell Crowe saying, "We've had a child son." A boy child, which is the best delivery of any line in any of the movies that we will ever talk about. Him saying child is just the best. But no, I love this score. Like this was on like when I was in school doing homework. Like this was on my homework playlist. Like I love the score of this movie, of this scene in particular, the scene in general. I'm with Twig. It's fine.
Fair enough.
See, you made it. You're alive. Just think. If you would have put Scott Pilgrim at this spot, you may have died on screen. Scully, what's your 10?
All right, my 10, we talked about a Magneto scene last week. I think I have the definitive Magneto scene, and that is Eric kills Shaw from X-Men First Class.
I had or lower.
Lower? Okay. When I think of Magneto, I think of this scene. This is the moment that Magneto was born. Like we've seen Eric Lenscher, we've seen him go on this kind of vendetta for himself, trying to get revenge. But this right here, this is the culmination of everything that's happened in the film, all the pain and suffering he's felt his entire life, him seeing mutants disrespected by the CIA, by Shaw, by everybody. This is the moment where he becomes Magneto. And I love the way that Matthew Vaughn does this scene, because the sort of, not the side by side, but the comparison with the coin going through Shaw's head and then seeing Charles's head in that same spot, and Charles almost feeling the pain that Shaw is feeling, as it symbolizes the broken brotherhood between Eric and Charles. It's such an emotional, raw, insane moment, and Henry Jackman's score, his own Magneto theme, kicking in then, it puts it over the top. It's just so good. It is one of the best sort of it's one of the best character birth scenes. It's one of those moments where a famous character is born. He is here in all his villainous glory. It's Magneto. He just killed the person who killed his mother. He got his revenge. Now he's going to take that and he's going to fight for mutant rights for the rest of the X-Men timeline. So this was an easy addition to my top 10.
Okay.
So I had this at number 31. So it was my number 1 in week 1. But I agree with a lot of that. I don't know if I'd go definitive. I did have the Argentina bar a little bit higher. The dialogue in this scene is so good because Shaw's like laying out like, hey, it's us versus them, blah, blah, blah. And then when he finally freezes, honestly, one of the best lines in the thing is, in the movie is, I want you to know I agree with everything you've said, but you killed my mom. So screw you.
Yeah.
Paraphrased, of course. But yeah, no, I agree. The juxtaposition with the coin and then going through
mirroring, yeah,
is so very good. Yeah, no, I agree. This is where Magneto is born. This is where Michael Fassbender's Magneto is born. So I'm a big fan of it as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's probably my favorite comic book character ever as Magneto. And I think I agree. There's multiple definitive, like where you could say, like I could definitely see the Argentina bar scene of being where he basically decides to go off the path, where he, regardless if he meets Charles, regardless if he meets these other people, he still has one mission on mind. It does not matter who is in his way or not. But when he slips the helmet on and blocks Charles for the first time, I honestly don't like Kevin Bacon's character in this movie at all. I think he's probably, in my opinion, the worst part. So I'm really excited when he dies. But that's the whole thing about this. I don't care who it's in front of. It could be any character in front of it. It's the Magneto slipping on the thing, blocking out Charles for the first time, and slowly sending that coin and freezing everything. So now you're in a state of now Magneto was turning a satellite at one point, and now we just realize how powerful he is without anybody in his brain. And that scene when he basically is like, that's why I think First Class doesn't get enough credit either, because of what First Class does. It's cheesy at certain parts, but where he sets up the little things of like, as a pig farmer, it was this, like what he knows about the character, and then when he sits there, I was like, listen, you've said nothing I disagree with whatsoever. I agree with everything. You killed my mom. It's time to die. Basically, it's so cool of that scene. So there's another scene that comes later that also is a great definitive Magneto scene in my eyes too. So like First Class is like prime Magneto, if you were thinking about it, like how X2 is prime Magneto in his moments. Like it's brilliant when it comes to it. So great choice. I think this is a perfect choice for 10. Well done. And still, I still say that score does not get enough credit for what it does. It easily could be top 3 of comic book scores. I think it's brilliant. Robert, what was one of the 10 to make the top? So what is it?
Are we talking about First Class still, or are we going? Am I?
Oh yeah, I forgot to let you all talk.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead,
I don't have a lot to say. I like the Argentina scene way more. Like the scene a lot. The mirroring of Charles and Eric is very, very good. I just like the Argentina scene more, and honestly, I might even like the speech on the beach when he's stopping the missiles. I think I like that scene a little bit more than this one too. But still a great scene. Can't fault you for having it. A little high for me, but it's weird for me that you didn't have the Barr scene at all, the Argentina scene at all, but you did have this one.
In a while, and I just
that's
watched
fair.
it, and I definitely should have had it on that.
That's totally fair. I chose to have the Barr scene instead of this one. So.
Yeah, and kind of in the same boat as Scully. I haven't watched it in which is a shame, because I really enjoy this movie, and I have not gotten back to it. So that's why both the Argentina Barr scene and this scene didn't make it. I mean, it's just because of recency. So I really enjoy this movie, and yeah, I would say overall I do like the Argentina Barr scene. Thinking back on it more since last week, but like the main part, the coin going through and the mirroring thing is absolutely brilliant. And just like you mentioned, Henry Jackman, his score is absolutely phenomenal. Every movie he's done so far I've heard has been great. So I completely understand the pick.
I'm still waiting for the X-Men scene, First Class scene where let's call you Professor X and we'll call you Magneto. I'm waiting for it, so hopefully it's on here. Still waiting for it. Brilliant.
Why'd you spoil my 3? No.
I don't read the list. I'm so sorry, Robert.
It's okay. I forgive you.
We can talk about it now.
My 10 might be yikes. It's from Endgame. It's the trio versus 2014 Thanos.
I mean,
we're being picky.
So this is I
Pause.
cheated a little bit. I think somebody else earlier had Cap lifting Mjolnir, and this is the same scene, but it's just the entire scene, not that one moment. It's the same scene. They never cut to a different scene.
Pause. Well, no, and I'm not saying. Well, then the entire battles of the last scene, portals and all that. I'm saying they are separate moments at this point.
I think
hold on. Show, I'm in charge. Shut the fuck up. I'm saying if somebody has Mjolnir or whatever later, you have to skip at this point, because my thing is right now.
Yeah.
My thing is when I hear trio versus 2014 Thanos, I'm thinking the fight at the end, he gets beaten down, and then there's a whole moment where he picks up the thing, and then he goes, because is it portals, and then
No, Thanos kicks all their asses. Cap picks up Mjolnir. That fight with the trio continues for a couple more minutes, and then Portals happens.
Yep.
But again, okay, yeah, I'm still.
Yeah, you're right. If somebody has Mjolnir later, that's 100%.
Which I
sure. Okay. You all just wanting to pick 17-minute scenes or whatever. Calm yourselves. There are breaks. Because I picked this one was where they go out and then all three get their ass kicked, and then when he does that is a totally different moment. But so are we skipping? Is that what we're confirming?
Yes, we're skipping.
Okay.
It's like TWOHIG the other day that picked from like minute 17 to 45 in the scene and said that counts for all. No, they did incorrect. It doesn't work on this show. What's your 9, TWOHIG?
Okay, we might have some issues later.
Well, here we go.
I agree. I have another thing later.
Well, then we'll talk about it all the fucking time.
My number 9 is No Man's Land from Wonder Woman. I believe it was
Yikes.
Oh, still yikes. Cool.
We'll flip and talk about in-game at the flipping end if that's what we're doing here, guys. Okay. Carly, what's your 9?
It was yikes from it was a while ago, but it's the desert cave escape scene from Iron Man. I'm pretty sure somebody had that on their list.
This actually wasn't yikes. This is where you thought like we were talking about the same.
Oh.
Yeah, they were talking about Golmir, and you got yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. So
all you.
So it's all me.
This is all you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I don't know. This is just my defining Iron Man scene because of just he's been in the cave and has the whole montage of him putting the suit together, and this is just a culmination. And him just going through and kicking all of their asses to get out of the cave. So it's just him realizing he could build a suit like that and just getting out of it, just nonstop action for 5-6 minutes, and which makes him decide to do the first the Mark II suit. So in my opinion, it's just a very iconic Iron Man scene, and just what leads him to create the suit that we all know him for. So that's why I thought I'd include it in my top 10 because it's important in my opinion. So
everybody keeps talking about Iron Man, and now I've kind of predicted that a scene won't be here, and that's kind of sad. But anyways, listen, Iron Man is probably people really like Cap, and I understand why everybody likes Cap. Iron Man, I'm not a savage on this panel or a person that hates great acting or great character work. Iron Man is my favorite out of the MCU. He's my favorite. I stand by him the entire time. Maybe because we have similar sense of humor, or maybe just because I would possibly respond to half the things that the man does. I think he's brilliant. I think Robert Downey Jr. Is amazing. The scene's a little rough for me personally, because there are moments in Iron Man, the original Iron Man, that I absolutely love. I Am Iron Man. I think when he flies the first suit, I think the entire scene of when he's getting it assembled with those robots and he's yelling at them, I think that's hilarious. Intimidation scenes in Iron Man, I would almost say when Pepper Potts is trying to do the flash drive in Obadiah Stane's office, I think they do really good tension in that scene. He built it in a cave with a box of scraps. Will be the best scene in the MCU that will ever reside, and I don't see it coming anytime, so that y'all fucking failed in that attempt. I think it's great, but I think there's more that sets up later. Again, this is your list. Defend it. I may hate you at the end of it, but don't feel bad for putting stuff on your list because this is what you stand by. I think it's a fine scene. It just needs to be in the 40s, not. What does everybody else think?
I like it.
No, go ahead.
Don't be so submissive.
Do you talk?
Fine, I'll talk first.
Yeah, say fuck you, Robert. Look at him right in the eye. I'll say fuck you and your beard.
Say it, Scully.
That's what
say it.
Say
it.
You and your little scraggly ass
beard. There it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, this scene's fine. It's fine. I in terms of Iron Man scenes, it might not even be in my top 5. I think it's good. I like the chemistry. I haven't liked the chemistry before between Tony and Yinsen more. I think this escape scene, in terms of all the action scenes we get in both this film and the entirety of the MCU, it's pretty lackluster because Tony is just walking around in a big giant metal suit. He doesn't have much mobility. He gets stuck in a rock for a good 10 seconds. So, I mean, it's again, in terms of action, it's fine. I think the effects towards the end are good, but at the end, it's not great.
I like this scene more than the Gulmira one, mainly because it has Yinsen's sacrifice, and I think Yinsen sacrificing himself for Tony and their last little exchange is really powerful in the arc of Tony's character. I love that exchange. I like the I Am Iron Man more. That was the only scene that was really going to make it for me from this first movie, but I really like this scene. I really like the first flight, so yeah, I'm with Cody. A little high, but I can't feel it. Like it is a good scene.
I love this scene. Like this just missed my top 40. In all honesty, I was trying to not decide between the Gulmira and this one, but like at the end of the day, I picked one and not the other. This is great. We're talking about like characters becoming characters. This is like you could say his first flight, but like this is Tony Stark becoming Iron Man. This is him building stuff in a cave with a box of scraps. Like this is. This is what he's able to do with literally nothing while being watched by the bad. Like that's the coolest part is the bad guys are watching him the whole time, and he's still able to do this and outsmart them and escape. So I absolutely commend you for having this. It just missed mine.
Don't you fucking quote the scene and not include it on your list, sir. You do not get to do that on this show.
How do you know? Could be.
I'm swearing. It's not fucking there. He doesn't have Captain America in it. Okay, Scully, what's your 9?
All right, my 9 is from Captain America: The First Avenger. It's when Cap crash lands into the ice at the end. Yeah, wow, I'm looking at all your faces. I really, really enjoy this film. It's one of the more emotional moments of the MCU. Highlighted by Alan Silvestri's score, which you hear pop up again later in Endgame, which I think elevates the scene even more, that he was able to reuse that for the scene at the end of Endgame. The acting in the scene by both Evans and Haley Atwell are tremendous. And I think this scene really helps embody Captain America as a whole, because he knows what he has to do. He knows the sacrifice that he has to make in order to save everybody on the eastern seaboard of the U.S. where the plane is going, and he tells Peggy, "This is my choice. I have to do this." And he knows he's giving up a lifetime of happiness with Peggy and with all his new friends who he's gained in the army, a lifetime of happiness with all of them. But he knows that his duty and responsibility comes first, and if what it takes is him sacrificing himself, that's what it takes. It's such a great scene. I think what elevates it more is how the last thing you see is Peggy trying to talk to him, and then all of a sudden he gets cut off in the middle of a sentence. That right there, it's so jarring. It brings me to tears almost every time I watch it, even though there's 17 more movies with him in it afterwards. It's still such a raw, emotional scene. Silvestri's score again is phenomenal. But yeah, I absolutely adore this scene.
So I'm torn. I'm torn at this because this may be unfair, and that's fair, but I think moments of Endgame take weight away from this scene a little bit, because he does get the dance. He does get to be with her again. He does have those moments. When it first happens, you think that's it. There's no more conclusion. And yes, he continues on, but that's why it doesn't hold as much weight as it did before Endgame. Not saying the Endgame moment doesn't lift it. I like the dance scene a little bit more now because I get to see Cap actually be selfish for the first time in the character, basically, and take those moments. This is also one of those moments. He's selfish at this point to sacrifice for people. But he's doing it for the greater good, not for himself. So, again, as fair, and Koho can, Endgame's your favorite one, and I still disagree with that. So, that's just my take on it. It's not a bad scene. I still love the scene. First Avengers blew up on my list, where it was in the basement when I first watched it, and when I did my MCU rewatch, I liked it way more. So scene just loses just a bit for me on that note, but not a bad scene. Everybody else, go to TWOHIG last on this one because he had a face, and I want to know what the face meant.
Yeah, their conversation is very sweet. It's a very nice scene. It's very like, you know, Cap being the noble, selfless soldier that he has to be. Would we miss anything if we lost the East Coast? Like, obviously joking, but no, like, it's a good conversation. It's a good scene. It's one of the great scenes of this movie. There are a couple great scenes of this movie. It's not close to the top 40 for me.
I'll make a list of top 40 things we'd miss on the East Coast,
including us three right here. Anyways,
Rogers wants to win.
But no, I mean, I kind of in the same boat as, I mean, I hate to just bounce off of it, but it was basically what I was going to say, what Robert just said. It is, except for the East Coast part, I want to keep the East Coast. But I do, I mean, it is a very sweet scene, and I think kind of what Cody said, just, you know, it has a lot more weight depending on what happens later. So just in that specific scene, it is very well done. And, you know, the Alan Silvestri scene is very good, but I don't know, it just didn't pop up to me when I was putting together my list. So, I mean, it's definitely a decent scene.
Revise it to take out Florida, and I'm with you, Robert.
Okay, sounds good.
I was obviously joking, yo.
Yeah, I know. We're just.
I was like, oh, well, shit. That's why you don't. No, just kidding. I love Captain America. I love Captain America: The First Avenger. It's in my top 5 MCU movies, and Captain America is my favorite character in the MCU. This scene on paper, fantastic. Sets up Cap, who he is. He's willing to sacrifice himself for his country, even giving up what he loves most in the sense that he wants to dance with Peggy. And the reason the payoff in Endgame is so good is because he did something like this in the beginning. Turn the plane around. Turn the plane to the right. You could turn it and then, like, you know, even if he can't land it because it's disabled, crash it in the water, not in the ice, or like set it down, go to the back, you're freaking Captain America, jump out of the plane, land on the ice. I hate this for the nitpicking that I have done to it. It makes no sense why he would crash with the plane in the ice. This is my least favorite scene. This is my least favorite scene in this movie because it makes no ever-loving sense. I love what it sets up later. I love what it does for Captain America. I hate it. I hate the fact that he's like, I got to put it in the water. And every single person watching this movie in one voice says, no, you don't. Turn around. Yeah.
How the fuck? You are my grandfather to a fucking T when watching movies. But how does one person like you sit there and watch Up and be like, yep, all those fucking balloons can lift a house and take them wherever the fuck they go? Do you hate that part of it? Because that's the movie of Up, but you love Up. You make no sense. You are a dumb human being when you say stuff like this. You say that scene. Guess why? Guess why he crashes in the ice? You want to know why he crashes in the ice?
Why?
His fucking origin, you dumb ass. That's
I'm
the
aware.
whole point. He has to crash in the ice. There's no way he can't.
Do it better in the scene. Give me a better reason to believe that he needs to crash.
You know what?
I do think, isn't it on a timer? Like, I think it is on a timer. I might be wrong there, but I think it's sort of like the Wonder Woman Bonds where it's on timer.
You know what would be better? Let's just put him in the fucking Titanic and make him hold on to Rose. So when he goes down to the bottom of the fucking ocean and freezes to death, then it makes more sense to fucking do it. You're a jackass. You're my friend, but you are a jackass, sir. They didn't use those type of bullets. Why is a tank here? They didn't have tanks. Oh my God, you're watching comic book movies. There's no such thing as superheroes.
I have said time and time again, my nitpicks are all character driven. If you go back and look at all of them, they are nitpicks because the character would not do this in the moment. His reason being, it's his origin. That's a shitty reason. Make a better reason why he needs
There's a thing called comic books, and they have to live up to them. Otherwise, people who are 50 years old get really, really mad.
Jump out of the plane. You're freaking Captain.
Do they do that in DC, or is that why DC movies are just terrible? Okay. Anyways, okay. Where the fuck are we? Robert, go to you.
I think this also might be a yikes because nobody's brought it up yet. It's from Civil War. It's the airport battle.
Yikes.
Wait,
There it is.
I had that before.
Oh, you had I yikesed it from you way back when.
Yeah, and I'm yikesing it again. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Tuig, what's your 8?
This is a yikes from before, and I'm pretty positive this is as far as it will go. It's Yondu's funeral from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Nice.
Shut up, Tim. Go ahead.
First of all, this scene has one of my favorite songs of all time. Father and Son by Cat Stevens is a beautiful song, used beautifully in the scene. We're talking about like bringing tears to your eyes. This does it every time, especially knowing it's just after Yondu sort of confessed his love for Peter, his fatherly love, and how he raised him the way he did for his betterment, not because he's a jerk. So listening to Peter talk about it, like, oh, I always thought like I needed these fake people to be my role models, but like I realized I had one the whole time. It was you, Yondu. And then when he goes away, and the lights and the I forget what they're called, trivia, the lights of a gourd or something like that. Yeah. When all the other Ravagers show up, and it's just this spectacular light show, while Father and Son plays, all the sort of Guardians end their arcs that have been going through this movie, and maybe there is an unspoken thing, and you are beautiful on the inside, even if that's played for a comedic moment. I think this scene is so beautiful and done so well, even if it's at the end of a pretty lackluster movie.
Yeah, this was my 18, so I had it last week. I echo everything Tuig said. The David Hasselhoff speech, when Peter's voice sort of cracks and goes, I had a pretty cool dad. He gives the arrow to Kraglin, which is a great moment. Baby Groot and Peter listening to Father and Son together is incredible. The beautiful effects, and when the effects go off, you see Kraglin's reaction, and he like screams and does the salute. Like that's an incredible little moment. Mm-hmm. My favorite moment of this scene is really Rocket's my favorite character from the Guardians movies, and the entire movie they've been making these comparisons from Yondu and Rocket, and when Rocket is just like, oh, they still came, even though he yelled at them and was always mean and stole batteries he didn't need. And Peter just goes, well, of course not. Like that's I'm getting goosebumps a little bit just like thinking like it's maybe the most earnest moment in the Guardian series. At the Simone Spoken Thing callback, it's just a really, really great character moment for every single character in this movie, from Kraglin and Mantis all the way up to Peter and Gamora. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this was my 26, echoing everything everybody else said. It's a beautiful scene. Yondu is one of my favorite characters in the Guardians films, and this is a great way to send him off. The reason it's a little bit lower, there are a couple of nitpicky things on my list, so I'm going to go ahead and turn to Nick Tuig for a second. When I saw this film in theaters, the lights from the funeral were flashing so hard I received partial blindness. So because of that, it went down to the 20 through 30 range. Also, Mantis and Drax are super fucking annoying in this movie. They do have some sweet moments, but having like the payoff there at the end, fine. But also like, I don't like the way they treated Drax in this film at all. This was kind of like trying to put a Band-Aid on it, so I guess. But I do, again, I love Yondu. This is the great way to send him off.
And I'm the guy that didn't have it on this list at all. So
cool.
There we go.
No, you're fair to not have it. Okay. Anyways, so you all three had this scene, right? Right.
Yeah. The three of us had it. Yeah.
Okay. I just thought Robert was interrupting me again. Just making sure.
I was speaking.
Here's my take. There are two good scenes in this entire movie. The rest of this movie is a dog shit. I don't give a shit what anybody says. This movie is a pile of trash compared to the first one.
Yes.
I don't want to bring up the other one because just in case it's on there, but this scene is heartfelt. This scene has weight. This scene capitalizes what the first one sets up, and so I have no issue with that. Yeah, but overall, it does bring. It's kind of that annoying thing because this movie, it brings you back into the movie when I'm so like out of it, like couldn't stand it at this point, so it brings me back into it. So that's why I don't love it as much. because I'm removed when I watch this. I probably will never watch this movie again after my most recent rewatch. Yeah, this scene is Yondu's funeral and all those, everybody having those reactions. It feels like they actually have heart again, or they actually care about the characters and the actual characters that they set up in the first movie. So it's kind of like it's literally a bipolar movie at times, because they're like, oh yeah, this is what this character is set up to do, and this is what it's meaning for, and then let's do jokes at the stand-up hall, and then let's go back. So this is the scene where it kind of finally grounds the movie and brings everything back to where it what the Guardians meet. So yeah, good choice. Probably a little high for me, but I can't deny it. Carly, what do you think about the scene?
I mean, I'm with you. I think the movie as a whole was dog shit. I do not like it. But this scene is a very fitting ending to the Yondu character. I will give you that. If I would have sat on it a little farther, it probably would have been on my list, near the bottom half. But it is very well done. And, Yondu, I do enjoy his character quite a bit. So I definitely understand it being on people's lists. So basically just boils down to, I just do not like the movie. So that's why I didn't put anything from this movie on there.
Well, that helps you. That definitely helps you. Okay, Carly, what's your 8?
All right. My 8, which, I'm pretty sure I write this. I'm pretty sure this was Yikes by TWOHIG, at least a couple episodes ago. It's the tunnel fight scene in Snowpiercer where the lights go out. Yeah. That's my number 8.
All right. Talk about it.
Okay. I really, really like this movie. I mean, I can watch this movie just about at any point. And just this fight scene, obviously I enjoy, Bong Joon-ho tunnel scenes because of Old Boy. So it's, it is what it is. So anyways, I don't know. I just liked how this was shot, and, the fact that it goes completely dark, and just the flashes of light and them and it's a very brutal scene. Like it fits it perfectly. It's about as realistic as you can get with a fight where one half of the people have, goggles and the other half don't. So it's just I don't know. It just a very intense part of the film that really advances, them getting through a large part of the train to get to their final goal. So I think this is a little just biased because I really enjoy this movie, so I wanted to include it fairly high, but it's definitely one of the best scenes in that entire movie.
Yeah, no, I love this movie too. I had Ekaterina Bridge at 23. This movie's wild, man. Like I've seen it a couple of times, but when you haven't seen it, this movie is wild because you never expect to see all these guys in black masks behind that door. You've seen that it's sort of like authoritarian, the whole way the train's set up, and like the people in the back are meant to stay in their place. Well, you never expect people with axes who bring up a fish just to get blood on their axes before they even start fighting. It's one of the wildest things like you'd never expect to see when the door opened. There's a moment that shows you how like deranged the people living on the train have become, which like makes sense. You would, when the people literally stop fighting to like count down to New Year. It's like, oh, I thought we were fighting. Okay, cool. It's New Year's now. The lights go out. The night vision goggles come on. You think all hope is lost. The scene's directed so well. And then all of a sudden you get that fist pumping moment of the guy whose name I can't remember, but running through with a torch. And it's like, okay, now we have light again. Edgar dies. That's a really emotional part. Chris Evans' best friend. And the whole scene's great. And then they come out on the other end. So it's just really well shot.
So peek behind the curtain, we were originally going to do top 40 movies, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. I think when we did comic book movie, Snowpiercer was your 1, if that's correct, right?
Me, it was in my top 3, I think. Yes.
Okay. This is a movie that I always feel bad for the first time I watched it and gave it 2.5 stars, and then rewatched it and it became 4.5 stars. It's when Cody was in a very bad mood versus Cody in a good mood. But no, this movie's incredible. I think that scene is great because when you see them like put down their goggles and you're like, oh shit, they can't see, but they can. And then the torch and like this movie is so like, I never thought of a Chris Evans movie on top of like in a train would be something I'd be like, yeah. But I saw it for years with the poster and stuff like saying, "Oh, yeah, I'll check that out one day. I'll see it." Blah blah. I don't play Geek, so there's no freaking point to watch Snowpiercer ever. It's great. I think I like it better than Parasite. I know, don't just come at me, but I seen Parasite once. So yeah, great scene. There's a lot of scenes you could have chose from that, but this is. It's one of the oh shit moments of this movie for sure. Everybody else didn't have it. Why not?
I do really enjoy this scene. I think it's just the tension at the beginning when you see everybody, when you see like all of them with the axes just ready to attack. It's Bond sets this up in such an amazing way. It's almost indescribable. Like I don't think I can explain it any better than what the Knicks just did. My one criticism is that I don't like Edgar's death because I feel like I barely got to know Edgar as a person, which is funny because I've seen it a couple times and it's just it's weird because like I do get to know Edgar, but at the same time I feel like I don't get to know Edgar. I feel like I would have liked it better if maybe if he had somehow maybe survived or at least survived until the very end. I don't know. It's a weird thing with me in this movie. I think his death is set up really well. It's super emotional. I just don't enjoy that aspect very much. I honestly can't really tell you why. It's just a weird thing with me. But again, tension of the scene is fantastic. I rewatched this movie after I made my top 40, so yeah.
Yeah, I like the more intimate scenes of this movie a little bit more than the action scenes. Very well shot. The point of view sort of night vision shots are just wonderful, like just masterful filmmaking. I just prefer the more intimate stuff, like Curtis admitting that he knows what babies taste like, and the scene with Curtis and Wilford at the end. Like there's just scenes I enjoy more than this one, but like I can't fault you. It's a really good scene, a really good movie.
Okay.
It's always Ed Harris. Just remember that. Okay. This is Scully.
Yeah. All right. My 8.
It goes in a circle. I wish I could figure that out.
My 8. It's another Endgame one. It's I Am Iron Man from Endgame.
Oh, okay. Robert. Oh no. Okay, cool.
I had the first one.
I'm just making sure. I know this line's cheesy. Go ahead. Continue.
When I saw this in theaters, this honestly was not the ending I saw coming. I did not see this coming. I think that just the way that starting with when Tony sees Strange put up that one, you kind of know what he has to do, but it's the way he does it and tricks everyone in the audience by he tries to take the stones back, Thanos punches him, throws him away, and then you look and see that the stones aren't there. They're in Tony's glove, which you forget up until now. It's made of nanomites, so now you can put anything in them, like the stones. And then the callback to the first film, I Am Iron Man, it's kind of cheesy, but I really enjoy it. And then seeing kind of the inverse of what happened in Infinity War, all of Thanos' army disappearing, using the same music that you hear in Avengers during the battle, kind of in the slow-mo parts of the Battle of New York. It's that very same music. And it's just one of those moments I love in Endgame when Sylvester is able to recycle his music from either First Avenger or Avengers in a different part of the film while telling us something different than what he did before. It's a great scene, super emotional, kind of cheesy, but this is the ultimate sacrifice. So this was an easy addition to my top 10.
Yeah, I have a heart that beats inside my chest. So this is definitely one of my favorite scenes. I don't think I've ever been as mad at somebody about a movie topic than right after we all saw this and we all got together to do a spoiler review, and me and Robert went head to head on the scene. I think basically what I always took, the scene weighs heavily on me because one, I think Tony is one of the only people of the Avengers at that point that doesn't need to do this. He does, but he doesn't, because he is comfortable in the life that he is living at this point. He has Pepper. He has his daughter. His entire focus is switched from who he was to what he is now. So he takes up the mantle to do this for one more time to hopefully help people to bring back the balance. And for him, like, there's a lot of characters I could see in the MCU making this sacrifice. Tony always seemed like that one that would possibly take it because, I mean, the problem with the world we're living in is you get contract discussions. You understand who signs on for more movies, who doesn't. But at the end of the day, you thought that his time was running out at some point. But for him to actually put the glove on and snap and just say the line. Now, the line itself, I understand, can come off as something like, really, you had to say that. But, like, for Tony to go out the way that Tony is, for him to say the line to it, where Thanos provokes him with it. So he's like, fuck you, I am Iron Man, and snaps his finger. It's an unsettling feeling because, like, regardless what happens in the MCU, right, there's bad movies, there's good movies, there's all this stuff, but Tony has always been that center of the MCU. Like, Cap and Tony are fair, but Iron Man kicked it off. So he's always been that pillar of the MCU, and to see him not make it out, and in the first one in Endgame, when you get stabbed and you think this is the end of him, and when he's on the top in the thing, and they took a kind of bold move in killing him off, because what's been like discussed is he was not opposed to coming back. Like, he would have came back if offered, but the Russo said no. This is how it's got to end, and this is the way it's going to go. Is kind of like gut wrenching. I still think this is like a absolutely beautiful moment. He goes out the same way he came in, and the snap is just to stand on Thanos' face when he does it. And, like, I'm guessing this is the I Am Iron Man that follows with, like, him sitting there and, like, talking with Pepper, and seeing Pepper and him have those moments, and Spider-Man have those moments. Regardless how you feel about that relationship, it sets up that funeral that has so much impact with it. And I understand why the funeral has more emotional elements in it, because he's actually, you see him gone and everybody talking about him, and him over him talking over it. It's just a beautiful scene. I think it starts badass and ends very sad. So Scully's doing well tonight. Yeah. What does everybody else think about the scene? Robert can go last.
It's obviously, it's just a culmination. It's just a very emotional ending scene. I guess it's it definitely probably should have won. I considered, but I didn't. It is what it is. But it is, very well done. And I do agree with the fact that, all this, with him having Pepper and a daughter and all that kind of stuff, that you feel like another character should have done it, but it is very well executed. It's a very well done scene, and, it's about as well as he could go out besides living. But I understand. It's a definitely a very good scene. Yeah.
All right. Look, there's no way he would have time to say I am Iron Man when the thing is, I'm totally fucking kidding. This scene's pretty perfect.
I was about to remove you from the call. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't going to be involved.
I absolutely adore this scene. The moments with. This is some of Gwyneth Paltrow's best acting in the MCU. When she sits down and she's like, "It's okay, you can rest," and then the second he sort of goes out is when she loses it. There was a cool thing. Apparently, they shot this scene behind the scenes, and he doesn't say anything the first time they shot it. He just snaps in it, and it ends like that. So, like, Robert Downey Jr. was done. They were done filming, and then they called him, and they were like, "Listen, we had an idea. We need you to come back in." And Robert Downey Jr. was like, "But I already said goodbye to the character. This is really, like, heavy on my heart to come back and do this again." And they were like, "We need you to say I am Iron Man before you snap." In retrospect, I'm so glad they added that in, because that's what Tony Stark would do. He is the guy to make he is the guy to, like, have the last line. In the same way that I love Cap's ending, I also love Iron Man's ending, because for the same reasons, it is the opposite of who they were predicted to be. Based on their characters at the beginning. So the scene is pretty great. Reasons for not including it: I cry during the funeral scene. I don't cry during the death scene, even though I think it's a great scene. I've had a lot of Endgame scenes, but that didn't stop me from putting more in. Probably top 50. If we did a top 50, it would probably be in. But yeah.
I don't have a problem with the scene. It's just the one line. I actually really like the scene. I like that Tony is the one to jump on the grenade, to make the sacrifice play. I like how I love the callback to the "you can finally rest now" versus the "would you be able to rest" from earlier in the movie. I love the stuff afterwards. I like the funeral a little bit more. I love the scene surrounding it. I love the idea of Tony being the one to sacrifice himself. I think that's very poetic, very beautiful. It's just the one line that's just a bit of an eye roll for me. It's just like, okay, well, all right. And like, yeah, I don't hate the scene surrounding it. It's just saying the line, "I am Iron Man." Like, I understand it's the callback to the beginning of the saga. I get it. It's just a little bit of an eye roll. It's just a little too much for me. So I like the scene, just not the one line included.
Oh. Could go on and on and on about that.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? No Shakespeare. Oh, shut the fuck up. Every time I sit back and wonder, why do me and Spence not get along? Not that we do have opposite viewpoints on movies and stuff, but then they say dumb shit like that. Okay. Robert, what's your 8?
My number 8 is this is definitely going to get some shit because I'm cheating. It's the Attack on Titan Infinity War. It is this is kind of a yikes from Tuig earlier when he said the Doctor Strange versus Thanos. If I have to cut it down to just one part of this battle, that's the part I'm going to cut it down to if you're going to force me to do that. But I personally, when I thought of this scene, I included Mantis putting Thanos to sleep and Thanos slamming Spider-Man and Quill going apeshit, and I included it all. I just threw it all in there. If you want me to cut it down, I will. If I have to cut it down, it will be Strange versus Thanos. But
I'm gonna go to my producer on this. My question is: so you're saying from like battle to stab to leave?
No, I would say like from the time, like, it's not when Thanos arrives. It's from the time when they're like when he.
Are you
like,
saying the entire battle with everybody?
I would say the battle with everybody through it's a fake, like through him taking the necklace off of Doctor Strange.
So
okay,
the whole battle.
Sure.
So most of the battle, that doesn't include the one-on-one with Tony. That does not include the stab. The "I hope they remember you." That it doesn't include that. But I would say from the time the fight starts through Nebula showing up, puts him to sleep, and then they're like, "Oh man, Gamora's not here. What the fuck?" And Quill's like, no, goes crazy. Doctor Strange comes in, multiple Doctor Strange. That whole section, and I understand
that's fine.
It does cut a little bit, but that's.
If you included, shut up. I'm telling you, it counts. If I'm saying if you had Iron Man scene one-on-one, I would have a problem with that. Yeah. The entire battle is totally fine because I think that's fair. They all have moments. I think like there's a difference between the fighting and the sleep. Like
it's not like the speech beforehand about how like, oh, I'm gonna even things out. Like no.
Spence, don't get your hopes up. I don't know about that.
Walking a dangerous path.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Really,
what happens in your scene? Because I think I just heard it. But go ahead.
Yeah, you did hear it all. It's basically the Guardians and Strange and Iron Man and Spidey and Nebula as a team versus Thanos. It's Mantis. It's magic with a kick. Insect, like great moment. Spidey saving everybody. I don't know everybody's names. Like it's that whole fight. It's the throwing the moon on Tony. It's Doctor Strange splitting into like 50 of them and all whipping him. It's the cloak covering the gauntlet. It's them realizing that Gamora was sacrificed on Vormir, and Quill just breaks down, which is probably Chris Pratt's best scene in the MCU. I understand it is intercut a little bit, but the Strange one-on-one versus Thanos is really good too, with the butterflies and all that kind of stuff. It's just a great scene. It's a fucking great scene.
So we'll go to Tuig.
Okay. So I just had the Doctor Strange versus Thanos bit of this at number 29. The reason being is the first time it's really cool action, and I think it's a really cool. like foreshadowing of what's to come in the MCU. Like it's a very short battle scene, but it literally reminded me of Dumbledore versus Voldemort in Order of the Phoenix. That sort of fight with magic at the end, because the way it, just think like on paper, it's so cool. It's the Sorcerer Supreme versus 4 Infinity Stones. It's the dream scenario at that point with Doctor Strange, and the way they use magic, the way they use visuals, the way Thanos doesn't just. The reason I don't like when he gets to Wakanda so much is because it's literally just, oh, space stone, oh, power stone, you go flying. Everyone just goes flying when I use the power stone. It's literally like a creative way that he uses the stones, mirrored by a creative way. Doctor Strange sort of fights back. So that's why I really like that particular part of it.
I agree with Nick on his scene. Again, Doctor Strange, there's some people that really hate Doctor Strange, and that's whatever. I really enjoy Doctor Strange, especially the movie, and I like the character of Doctor Strange. Maybe because he's very similar to Tony. But there are parts of Titan that I think are fantastic. I fucking hate this is my nitpick. I hate the fucking Quill part. It drives me crazy because I understand why it has to happen. I get all the points, but what the fuck is wrong with you? If I was Tony, I would have blasted him off the thing and literally left him for dead. Like, there is no questions. I think, like, I just think, like, that scene just drives me crazy because of that, because they're so close, but I know they're not so close, so it's like this weird thing. But yeah, the Attack on Titan, I think, is the best scene from this movie, like, by far. I love moments of Wakanda. I think Wakanda, those parts are great. But, like, to see the team up of the team that happens on Titan and the battles that ensue, and, like, how close they are, and they finally use Mantis for the good, for them to fucking sleep, because she's useless in most of the movies. Yeah, so I think Titan overall is one of the best parts. And Infinity War has grown so much on my list. I think it's the best Avengers movie, honestly. I think there's in-game things that are great, but like Infinity War has this special spot, and the battle on Titan. You throw a planet. If you throw a planet at me, one more like something, whatever Tony's line is in that scene, it's like fucking let's go. Like, it's so funny. So great scene. This should have been on everybody's list. Why wasn't it?
I almost there were 2 scenes within the whole battle that I considered. One was Strange versus Thanos. The other was like the one-on-one between Tony and Thanos, when Tony is the whole, if you throw another one at me, I'm going to lose it. And then like, he's like, Stark, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge. That whole exchange and the battle that ensues and him stabbing, I considered that as well. But in the end, I liked a lot of my other scenes more. I agree with Cody. I think the whole Star-Lord losing his shit, it would just be so simple for Tony to just turn around and just blast him in the face, knock him out, or for Spidey to just like kick him in the head or whatever. It'd just be so simple. Because for me, Infinity War just seems like, all in all, I love the movie, but it seems kind of like a comedy of errors leading to the Avengers getting fucked. Like if one small thing goes in their favor in a lot of these scenes, they win. They end up beating Thanos. So that's just the one blemish on Infinity War that I have. I still love the movie. I think this is a great scene. But I liked him and Wakanda more, just a testament to how strong he was with the 5 stones, and then of course the 6th stone.
And as you can tell by my shirt, I am a huge fan of Doctor Strange. So, and yet I didn't have anything on his list, mainly because, like I've mentioned on a handful of movies here, recency was a problem. I've seen all these films a few times, but it's definitely been a few months. So it's just, it was those things that just did not come up in my mind, and I needed to get the list done. But like TWOHIG'S said, with the Sorcerer Supreme going up against the 4 Infinity Stones was great. Like that was a super, like, I really enjoyed that whole sequence. And and I was just with Quill, if Iron Man would have tried to stop him, Strange knew that there was only one way that they would win, so he would have stopped it, I would think. But that we could go on for that for a while. But anyways, it's one of those things. One of these scenes I should have had, but it just didn't come up into my mind enough time.
I still want to see the scene where they get the gauntlet and then they decide, what the fuck do we do now? Basically, they have no fucking clue at this point what they're gonna do with all the stones. So that would be. I want to see that alternate. Okay, what's your 7, Twig?
My 7 is a yikes from earlier. It might still be a yikes. It's the snap from Infinity War. Okay, cool.
I had it. I had it last.
Should have went for the head.
Starting with that. Starting with Thor, and then you should have went for the head. Oh man, as a comic reader, this is one of the coolest things to see transpire on film. Because you didn't think they were going to go there. I specifically remember going into Infinity War thinking, they're going to have like him defeated at the end, and I really thought they were going there when Thor threw the axe in. Like they tricked me in. And then when he snaps and goes away, there's still a part in your mind that's like, they're not doing this, are they? And then, of course, like, biased, but first one to go is Bucky. And Bucky's like, Steve? And then he just vanishes. And there's no time to, like, be nervous. There's no time to figure out what's going on before it's too late. And then one by one, these characters that you've known to love, you get Groot disappearing and Rocket being so distraught is really good. Wanda, I've seen like an entire analysis of this scene, but Wanda like being so sad that Vision is gone just sort of like gives into it and fades into nothing. Just straight up biased. Like I never thought I'd see this moment on screen, and it's so awesome.
Yeah, this was my 17. So I had this last week. There's a brief scene with young Gamora, her asking, Thanos, what did it cost? And he is so distraught over losing her. Like, truly, Thanos is the protagonist of this movie. He is distraught over losing Gamora. He says it cost everything. And then there's just everything happens at once. And I remember seeing it for the first time, and you really can't process it. All the Guardians go, you get Quill just being like, oh, man. And he goes, the Tony, there was no other way. The Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. The Cap's just saying, oh, God. And then you get this beautiful, dreary music after, there's the pan-out shot of all the Avengers, and then just the dun, 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 and it's just the credits. And you're like, what? I remember walking out of the theater and immediately calling Maggie and being like, this didn't really just happen, right? Like, it didn't. And I was like walking home from my theater at college, and I talked for like a half hour on the phone to Maggie, being like talking about what the hell just happened. I don't think what happens in Endgame devalues this scene at all. I think it's still just as emotional. I think it's still just as effective. It's a brilliant, brilliant scene.
Yeah, I was on the mind of the snap being less effective when Endgame comes out. And I disagree with that take now. Basically because Tuig helped kind of put it in perspective is like the deaths does happen. Yes, do they reverse it and isn't that great? Yeah, all that stuff's good. But the deaths still take place. Cap, Black Widow, Iron Man, they all have to live with this for 5 years at this point. They didn't just get these players back like right away. They had to move on. Think about like right now, if we stopped right now and didn't talk to each other, talk to people in your life for 5 years, you thought they were gone. That has so much weight to it. And to see the snap, I still like the bring me Thanos and the you should have went for the head. That sinking feeling you feel when he says that line, you should have went for the head, and then snaps his finger, and then you don't know what's going to happen. And as a person that never really read the Gauntlet, like the Infinity Saga, I wasn't sure what was going to place. And then you see each person just going away, and like the bold, because they could have done anything really in the MCU. They could have had Black Panther stick around. They could have had the team that could have assembled could have been completely different. But they took some bold moves and took some big characters out and told them like they're gone, like at that point. And yes, you knew they were coming back. There was a way that they were coming back, but like at that point it still sinks in, and that overall. And then yes, when he gets to Gamora and is like, what it cost? It cost everything, like everything, and like it carries on to the next movie, but like it didn't. Everything just meant nothing to you. Like it doesn't mean shit. You thought this was correct and you're wrong. But like, yeah, the snap is just brilliant. I remember I left the theater right away and I texted Robert and I said, "What the fuck's going on?" I said, "I need help." Like,
It's gonna be okay. Yeah.
And then a guy in the front of the theater goes, "Wait until you imagine having to wait a year and a half for this shit to find out." And I was like, "Yep, you're 100% right." So. Great part, great scene. That's why Infinity War still ranks so high for me. Scully, no snap. What's up?
Yeah, I didn't have this on there for kind of a weird reason. When I think of Infinity War, oddly enough, I don't really think of the snap. Like it's such a great, well-crafted moment. It's just that when I think of Infinity War, I think of all the battles. I think of all the moments when the characters pop back up, like when Cap pops back up and we see the at the start and Loki dying. I just think of a lot of these other scenes before I think of the snap, and I agree that I don't think the snap is devalued by Endgame, but in the back of my mind, like I don't think it devalues it, but I think my mind is sort of made to think that it kind of does, because I don't really I think it does hold weight, but at the same time it's like my brain also doesn't think it holds weight. It's weird. I process these two movies really, really weirdly, but I do really enjoy this scene. It's so well done. The shock value of seeing all the new characters disappearing instead of all of them, because like watching this movie for the first time, like seeing Bucky gone, and then and then T'Challa go, and I'm like, whoa, they're removing all the newbies. Like they're removing everybody who came in like phase 2 and phase 3, which I didn't see coming. So shock value, that is tremendous. But yeah, I process this scene and this Infinity War in a really odd way that I don't really think of this scene when I think of the film. So yeah, just a really weird thing I have.
I don't have a good excuse. I don't. I mean, I just, obviously, I mean, this is just a phenomenal scene. What sticks out to me is I went and saw this with my wife and another couple friends of ours, and I just remember how pissed she was at the end of this film because she had no idea, obviously, any of this was coming, and just that, like, she was enjoying herself, having a great time, and then that last scene happened, and she just like basically stormed out of the theater because she was so mad that everybody was dead. Just like that. So, but anyways, obviously it's an absolutely great scene. It's just, unfortunately, it's just the MCU recency. It's something that I'm starting to watch again. But when I was making this list, a lot of those scenes just did not stick out to me in time. And that's why, I mean, I still have a few, but it's just one of those ones. Yep, add it to the counter, 100%, because I have a lot of those. So, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at our 13 minutes and we're like on 7, so let's try a little faster. So we're not here for 4 hours because we got to go through a top 40 list. Who's next?
Me.
All right, Carly, what's yours?
And it was one that Robert talked about earlier. It's the Cap wielding Mjolnir. So that entire fight. Oh, okay. There we go.
Oh, crazy.
It's fair.
Okay.
Thomas.
All right, I'll try to go a bit faster because I don't think anybody else has this. My 7 is Aunt May's speech from Spider-Man 2.
The one where, like, when they're moving in, where she's moving.
When she's moving out, yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoy this scene. It's one of the quiet, inspirational speeches that we hear in comic book films. It's what helps Peter sort of get back on his feet after choosing not to be Spider-Man anymore. And just the words that she says, kind of like what she says, like, and years later, they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the person who taught them to hold on just for another second. I think just the writing of this scene is so well crafted, and Rosemary Harris's delivery makes it so much better. It inspires inspires me when I watch it. She really defines what it means to be a hero and what a hero means to all of those who worship them, and it really informs Peter of what he of what he as Spider-Man means to the people of New York. This is my favorite moment of Spider-Man 2. One of my second favorite moment in any Spider-Man film. You'll see the first one up in a bit. But yeah, I love this speech. Rosemary Harris is personally my favorite Aunt May. She's personally my favorite. But yeah, I love this one. And look, I got the Australians on my side, so there you
go. Scully saved. I love it. They show right up when you said Spider-Man. Michael's been here, but Jake literally. What? Did I say Spider-Man? No, when you said that Aunt May this is the best Aunt May, that's 100% correct because this is the only one that makes you feel the comics. This is the only one that makes you feel the animated show. This is the Aunt May, and that just like her voice just like brings back like almost nostalgia hearing the speech. I'm unapologetic of how much I love Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. There are some people that are fuddy-duddies, and that's fine. Yeah, he also likes shit movies, so that's secret of being his friend. Like I know the movies he likes and whatever. But Spider-Man 2, as bad as Toby is at times in this movie, Aunt May is so good, and just basically just chatting, it's because everybody has that aunt or grandmother or mother that like says those lines that you need at the most opportune time, so it feels so real and grounded. So yeah, I think it's a bold choice of putting in your top 10, but I respect it a lot because a lot of things you can put a lot of action scenes, a lot of like explosions or like super like big battles, especially with this, and you took the bold choice of doing such a subtle scene, but that means so much in this movie. So I give you a lot of credit for that, and I think it's a perfect scene. Everybody talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got nuts the size of cities to put this in your top 10, but I respect it. I got a fist bump for you for it. I love when she's like, oh, little Henry Jackson, he needs Spider-Man. Yeah. Like, she basically peer pressures him into becoming Spider-Man again. Great scene. Good pick.
Peer pressure works, kids.
Yeah, good pick.
I have made my feelings about the Raimi trilogy known. However, I agree. Rosemary Harris, pretty dope. Rosemary Harris is pretty great. The scene is really great when she's like, there's a hero in all of us. I believe there's a hero in all of us. Like, it's very inspirational. I agree. The voice, the way she acts it is very reminiscent of nostalgia and things like that. Something to remember is this is the very next scene after Peter tells her that, wait, am I thinking of the right thing?
So right after he tells her that's his fault?
Like, she's mad at him for some reason, right? Yes, right after he tells her
it's his fault that Uncle Ben died.
Right. So, like, this is her being like, water under the bridge. You're my nephew, and I love you. And it's really well acted. I couldn't put anything near Raimi. Also, I'm pretty sure I know what your other Spider-Man scene is going to be. And I reserve the right to change my opinion later, because if it's what I think it is, I don't think both of these should be in the top 10.
Pause, just real quick, just to make sure we're clear on the scene. We're talking about the outside scene where they're talking, right? Or are we talking where he's like, Henry wants to know where Spider-Man is? That one, right? Okay, just making sure. I thought when I heard the talk about him telling Aunt May, I was just like, that's different. Okay. No, correct choice. And fuck you, TWOHIG. Everybody else, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it is a really great scene to pick from this film that, a lot of people wouldn't have thought about otherwise. So I mean, as you can tell from the majority of my list, I'm all about action scenes. I don't really care about emotional scenes, apparently. I do, but I do understand the importance of this scene because, like I said, it sort of gets, Spider-Man back into things and actually wanting to, become Spider-Man again. So I totally understand the choice.
Okay. This is and this is Koho's favorite scene from. This would be in his top 10. He sent me his list. Robert, what's yours?
My number 7, I think, is from Logan. It is Logan's death and the funeral. So this is, I think somebody earlier had the fight in the woods. This is like the
that was
you guys had the fight in the woods. This is like the moment right when he gets impaled.
That's my 15.
And X-24 gets shot. It's from then on.
TWOHIG had the rage all the way through the death.
Through that fight,
No, so did I. Yeah, that was basically ours too. Like we had
So I have the death scene through the funeral. I think this is maybe the best scene of Logan. It really does go back and forth with this and Charles's death for me. But this is like, the impaling on the log. Laura kills X-24 with the adamantium bullet. She like runs over to him and she like cuts off the log, and she is so distraught that her hero, her father, is dying, and he is in a way distraught, but in a way relieved. Like he's happy to be going finally after all he's been through, and he just goes, "So this is what it feels like," right? Just an incredible line reading. The funeral, right? She turns the cross into an X, and her reaction, incredible score. This is a really emotional scene. I remember crying real hard when I saw this in theaters for the first time. Just at the moment, obviously her reaction to his death is very moving, but at the funeral where she's standing around his grave with all of her friends and she just takes the cross and makes it an X, that hits home. I love the scene. I think it's Hugh Jackman's probably best scene in any Wolverine performance. It's a really good scene.
Yeah, this is my 15. I agree with everything that Robert just said. I was really shook with how gory this film was, and seeing just kind of Logan's inside just kind of blow out like that was kind of jarring. But still, the emotional gravity of this scene so good. I'll say it again. James Mangold does a hell of a job directing both Wolverine films he did, especially Logan. Beltrami's score is so good. He doesn't get enough credit for what he does with this scene. Daphne Keane is such a good young actress. She puts in work, especially in this particular scene. The emotions, the sadness, the kind of suppressed rage that she feels. And one of my favorite X-Men lines, so this is what it feels like. That is one of my favorite lines in any X-Men movie. And of course, the funeral where she turns the cross into an X, such a great moment. And it's really the end of the X-Men story. All of our favorites are now gone. All of our beloved X-Men that we followed for 20 odd years now they're all gone. And now we have New Mutants. So take a drink, everybody. So yeah, this scene's really powerful.
This was so what I was trying to convey in my scene was maybe it was too much. Again, sort of what Robert was saying about the Attack on Titan. Maybe it was too much. If I had to pick, it'd be the end part ending with Logan's death. But I had where he gets back to his full potential all the way to the decline to his death. In this final fight. I've said my thoughts on X-24 as a villain. I don't know that I necessarily like him as a villain. Just this sort of mindless rage, and it's really like on the nose, Logan having to fight like his younger self. But his death, you're right, the line is incredible. The acting from Daphne Keane is incredible. And it's just Logan, because he's gone through the movie, his plan was to get a boat with Charles. Charles is gone now. So this is Logan literally at the end of his rope. And this is the final decision he made. So everything you guys said, I agree with.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess more evidence that I don't have a heart. I love Logan all the way through. It's one of my favorite Marvel films in a long time. And, I guess I just really enjoyed the action right before it. And but that ending scene is definitely very well done and very, crushing emotionally with everything that goes on with it. So I totally understand the choice.
I've said this before. I'm very mixed on this movie. Is it a fantastic movie? No questions. I can't tell you it's a bad movie. For me, the whole movie is his funeral, basically. I've said it before. He's a fighter that doesn't have it anymore. When he pulls out the claws, when he does all that stuff, like, and he has to like force himself to do what he is, it's just heartbreaking to watch. Because from 2000, you've seen this man rip through everybody and not give a damn and be reckless every chance he gets. He runs at Magneto numerous times and just gets thrown around. It's brutal because of the way he goes out. Because he could have died in his bed, or he could have, went to bed and they slammed him right onto a tree and let him bleed out. And but yeah, this is what it feels like. Those like moments, like he finally realizes being mortal. It's just a rough scene for me. It's a rough movie for me. I don't particularly enjoy it as much. It's not one I want to go back and rewatch. I like the X-Men to have a little bit more fun, but I can't deny the scene is so brutal. It's just there's a few parts like X-24 I don't like as a villain. I've always hated that side of the villain because I know how to defeat X-Men. Well, how are you going to defeat X-24? Like it's an endless cycle at that point. Like you're just going to continue having to create things to feed each other. It doesn't make the whole zone. And as much as I like X-23, like of that like relationship, it's one movie. It's not that long of time. I understand her emotions. I get those, but it's forced a little bit at that point because you don't really see her break down until that moment, like really break down, like as that moment. So it kind of takes me a little bit out, but I understand the weight of it. It's a beautiful scene. No problems. Okay. Tuig, what's your 6?
My number 6, I believe, is a yikes from earlier, but and I don't give a shit how long this scene is. The whole fucking thing counts. Bucky versus Cap versus Iron Man, Captain America, Civil War. Okay, cool.
We'll talk about it in a second. Sorry.
You good?
He killed my mom. Carly.
All right, my 6 was yikes just a little bit ago. Was the airport fight scene from Civil War.
We get to talk about it.
Yay!
Right.
That was my
I'm so
9.
excited. Go ahead.
Yep.
Everybody everybody
okay.
had it, right? That's
No,
the one
I
scene
didn't have it.
I think only Carly and I had it.
Yeah, I think we're the only 2 people
Wait.
that had.
Tuig
I had it
has
as my 9.
Tuig had it, right, Koho? He froze, but Tuig had
Did he?
it.
Oh wow, he froze
did he?
perfectly again.
I thought I was the only one to bring it up at 9.
No, I'm pretty sure Tuig has.
Okay, he might
I
have.
would be blown away if he doesn't. Anyways, you two talk. Hopefully,
Sure.
his internet comes back. So.
Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and go. But I don't know. Just on my huge list of action scenes, this is one of the better ones in the MCU. So it just I don't know. Just obviously the iconic of all of them coming towards each other to meet is an absolutely amazing scene to see in theaters. A great introduction to Spider-Man. And everything he does in that scene and all the separate fights that are going on all at the same time. Absolutely brilliant. It's like super entertaining all the way through. And then of course, giant Ant-Man coming out for the first time is absolutely great. So, cause I absolutely love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. I thought that was a great casting from the beginning. And, so I don't know. It's just, a super fun scene all the way through. And it's very, just, everything coming to a head of, both sides finally clashing with each other, because they've been boiling over until that point. So it fit the movie perfectly. And it was a greatly filmed action scene. So really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love this too. It's my 9. I love the Spidey reveal. First time we see him in like the updated suit. We see him, and I believe this is yours, Captain America, as he hands him his shield. The Bucky and Falcon dynamic is really good. Where are you from? Queens, Brooklyn. Great exchange. The Giant Man stuff. Natasha betraying Tony to attack T'Challa at the end. Really, really good. Rhodey's accident. I love how Vision comes in. The reason it's at 9 and not like 2 or 3 for me is because you do kind of feel like they're pulling their punches a little bit. Like, obviously T'Challa is trying to kill Bucky for real, but like, you know, when Tony and Clint are fighting, like they're not really trying to hurt each other. But ultimately, it's still just a peak MCU action, like some of the biggest scoped action in the franchise. I love the scene.
Did you have this too?
Yes, I did.
That's what I figured. Go ahead.
Did I have this?
That's what I'm saying. That's literally what Robert thought he was the first one. I was like, I'm pretty sure if I know two, he has this one.
It was I X'd it 2 weeks ago, so I hadn't remembered.
That's fair. This is my 21. And the reason is that it is that low is for the same reason Robert just said. It often feels like they're not going as hard as they could. The stakes are a little lower, even though the stakes really do. Like Rhodey might. I hate that they gave it away in the trailer, but Rhodey not dying, Rhodey becoming paralyzed, like that's a big thing. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. That's what comes out of that. But all the little character interactions that we hadn't seen yet. Looking back on it, again, the reason it's so low is because they upped it. They upped it by things that came later in the MCU that I will not give away right now. But all those special moments the first time we see Scott as Giant Man. The coolest part is Iron Man comes in with Spider-Man and all these like heavy hitters and Vision, and he's like, okay, we're gonna take these guys easy. We'll web them up. We'll take them away. No one's gonna get hurt. And then they actually put up a fight, and then Scott comes out with the secret weapon, and then Bucky's actually holding his own. And it actually turns into a fight, and they start getting angry. So I love it. I think it's a very well choreographed action scene on top of everything else.
Scully's correct. I think on this, I wouldn't put the scene on the list at all. It is spectacle. It is it. It is spectacle, and that is all. It is a fireworks show, if anything, of the MCU. There is no stakes whatsoever in this scene. If there was, like, Bucky, like Black Panther rips Bucky's head off. Like, if he actually gets a hold of, like, let's be real. Like the Spider-Man stuff, but that's like it is. It's like, and your spot to shine, and your spot to shine. It's like a glorified wrestling battle royal where everybody enters and everybody gets their moment to shine, and then it adds up to nothing. The real stakes come later in the films, and that's where it's good. It's a fine scene. The more I watch it, the more I'm just like, meh. It went into my top 10 finally, but that scene is one of those things that is just. I hate when people say it's one of the best scenes in the MCU. Fine, but it's not. It is literally a glorified grand finale in a fireworks display. Spent way too much money with no real payoff. So, what's your take on it?
So here's the thing. I love Civil War. I love everything around this scene. I love the build-up. I love the third act, which is tremendous. I have read not a lot of comic book arcs in my life. The one that I have read is the original Civil War arc, and that is my favorite comic book arc of all time. And compared to that, which is what I was hoping to see, it is very, very, very diluted and watered down. They are pulling their punches. I wanted someone to die. I flat out wanted somebody to bite the dust in this scene and have that be the emotional toll that carries the rest of the film. When I saw Rhodey fall in the trailer, I was like, okay, let's have it. Let's have Rhodey die. Let's have Tony come back with a vengeance, kick the shit out of Cap and Bucky at the end, and have that be the division of the Avengers. Or if it's someone on Cap's, or if it's somebody else on Cap's team dying, or I just wanted more stakes. I wanted more stakes. I wanted more at risk. This just seems like. Unfortunately, it seems like filler until we get to Russia. It just seems like unnecessary filler, which is unfortunate because I think the scene is choreographed really well. I love Ant-Man's the best part of the scene by far. When he goes into Iron Man suit, it's like, hey, it's your conscience. We haven't spoken in a while. I really love that. But just all in all, there's no stakes. Everyone's pulling their punches. There's a couple of good action scenes. The stuff with Spidey is awesome. But it's fine. I love everything else in the film. This just completely lowballed my expectations.
Okay. Who was that? Who did the airport fight?
Yeah,
Carly,
That was
right?
Carly.
So
What's your 6?
All right, my 6. This was Yikes familiar, definitely, and might still get Yikes. It's What's Up Danger from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That is also my 6.
All right.
All right, let's talk about it.
So I had the really sort of subtle Spider-Man scene at my 7. I have the not so subtle Spider-Man scene as my 6. This scene is absolutely fantastic. This scene embodies what the film is. It's that anybody can be the hero, anybody can be the Spider-Man. You know, if they have the courage, if they have what it takes, just everything about it is it just gives you chills from the song "What's Up Danger," which I listen to at least once a day. It's such a great song. To Miles going to Aunt May's I was like, oh, it took you long enough, and then him designing his own suit, putting his own finishing touches on it, creating his own Spider-Man identity while staying true to who Spider-Man is. And the visuals are just so good. Jumping off the building, having kind of a comic book pasted on the screen, and having that moment when he first jumps off with the hand, and then the shards of glass come out. That's a really small moment that I really love. Him just going down towards the street, and everyone on the street kind of looking up and seeing somebody falling, not knowing who it is. It's like the birth of a new Spider-Man. And my favorite part, honestly, is Jefferson's mini monologue within the scene, where it's like, I see this spark in you, Miles. It's there. It's bright, and I'm hoping you use it for something. And this is what he's using it for. It's such a great payoff. It leads right into the big finish. But this is far and away the best scene in this movie, and the best Spider-Man scene we have.
I ranked this as my 6. I actually titled it "The Leap of Faith" because I don't think the scene is limited by just the song. I actually include his father outside his dorm room because it's the same thing. So that little monologue you were talking about, I include that entire monologue in the scene because nothing cuts away. Like, he goes from his dorm room and he comes out and he spray paints his suit and he becomes Spider-Man. So I included that, and that speech alone is such incredible goosebumps when he's like, there's this spark in you, it's amazing. He comes to his dorm room and he's like, I know you're mad at me. Really, he can't speak, and I know you're mad at me. Something happened with Uncle Aaron. I don't want us to grow apart, Miles. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking of it. It is an incredible speech. And then yes, the "What's Up Danger" hits. He goes invisible. He spray paints his suit. In this moment, he fully embraces his powers. "What's Up Danger" is an incredible song. He visits Aunt May. The voiceover quotes from his mother, his uncle, his father himself, Peter B. Parker, who's just like, that's what it is, Miles. A leap of faith. And then he does the flip off the building. Oh man. Incredible stuff. I like this movie a lot. I wouldn't say that this is my favorite, absolute best Spider-Man film of all time. I really enjoy this film, but this scene is just everything that Spider-Man is supposed to be.
I also had this at 21. They basically summed it up. I can't really add to what they say. The reason it's so low for me is because I've only seen this movie twice, which I know is crazy to a lot of people, but it absolutely phenomenal. And this scene stuck out in my mind, and I had to put it somewhere on this list, so I put it right in the middle. But I mean, they took the words out of my mouth. The pep talk right at the beginning there, and then the song kicking in just fits perfectly. And it's just. And ending with him backflipping off the building, and that shot of him, going up this way. It's absolutely beautiful shot. Very well done. Sticks out every time I watch it.
And I had this at 18.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh no, I didn't know what's going on or not. Anyway, but same. Also, Scully, I thought the scene you were talking about was going to be. I'd be shocked if anyone else had it. Was going to be Sally Field talking to Andrew Garfield in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I was going to be like, both of them. But yes. No. Cody, I can't hear you.
Kill me. Listen, StreamYard, I pay you monthly. Give me a hand command or something that I can just do this and then unmute me. Fuck this service. Okay, anyway. So there's a person backstage that ruined this movie for me a little bit.
Yeah.
I love him to death. I do. But the man, when the movie came out, loved this movie. Like, talked about it daily. I liked it. I thought it was good. He just, the one thing about him, he is super passionate about what he likes, and that is fair. But he has toned down a lot over the past, since it came out, which is appreciative. And it's grown on me a lot more. I think, I've said this a few times, Spider-Man and X-Men are the two comics that I enjoyed when I was a kid. Those are the two that I gravitated to, not like a Batman, not anything. And to see them pull off Miles Morales on the big screen, this movie came out of fucking nowhere. This movie came out of nowhere. Everybody talked about it. It saw it. I think the first trailer dropped. We're like, okay, maybe.
I had friends who weren't movie fans who were like, God, that's gonna suck. Like,
oh yeah, it looked it. I saw it from Sony. I said, cool. You couldn't get a real life Spider-Man to last, so you're gonna do animated and see where that goes. Like, I thought a lot of bad things, and then they took my expectations and blew it out of the water to do a multiverse with all the Spider-Man. There's part of the movies I don't like that I wish they would have cut out, but this scene is so fucking badass. When he shows up to the shed, she's sitting in the chair. She's like, I've been waiting for you. And then, what took you so long? And then when he jumps off and the glass, you see the glass like shoot out behind him. This is a comic book on a fucking big screen. This is one of the best animated movies of the 2000s by far. I think it arguably could be one of the best one over time. I think it's arguably going to be one of the best animated movies of what they were able to accomplish. I always hear the thing like it looked 3D when it wasn't 3D. Like, that's how impressive this movie is. So yes, absolutely incredible scene. I'm not the biggest fan of the song. No offense, guys. No offense to everybody. It's just not my kind of song. But overall, like, the scene itself is fucking sweet. Like, seeing Miles Morales on the big screen is like exactly what I wanted for a long time, and that was pretty cool to actually see. Best Spider-Man movie from Nazar Montenegro. Maybe.
Make the argument. Yeah.
There's a definite argument for it. You can definitely say it's definitely top 3 if you're going to ever consider it. All right, Robert. Nope. 2.
Yeah, that was my 6.
Koho, don't put it up for a second. I need to speak on it.
You don't get to tell him what to do.
Koho, please don't
put it up for a second.
Please don't put it up for a second. Okay, listen. Everyone, remember all those times I criticized your scenes for them being in like bad movies and the movie sort of affecting the scene? Just gonna need you to forget all that just for a moment. I apologize. I'm talking about a scene that makes you create a better movie in your mind than what you actually get on screen. That's how good of a scene it is it creates its own movie for you.
Oh, no. Unfortunately,
the rest of the movie happens after it, and I get it, but that doesn't affect the scene. The scene is still incredible when you think about it. It's Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting in the wars in X-Men Origins.
Yikes. No.
What?
Listen, I hate the movie too. I like it more than most. Still hate it. I still dislike it quite a bit. Wait, no. Where's everyone going? Okay, fine. I don't care. Dude, Wolverine fighting throughout the wars of the American wars, from the Civil War to the Revolutionary War to World War I, World War II, Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting side by side is the coolest thing I could possibly think of. It's shot so well. And I get it. The rest of the movie happens after it, and the stupid scene with young Logan and Sabretooth happens before it. But this scene on its own is incredible. You get to see Sabretooth become a real villain, become a war criminal, because that's how bad of a person he is. We get to see that. Liev Schreiber is great as Sabretooth. No one can take that away. And Hugh Jackman is great as Wolverine. This scene has everything. The rest of the movie sucks. You get to see them literally about to be executed, and it leads up to Stryker finding them. And he said, I heard you got executed. How'd it go? And they said, it tickled. It's literally everything you want from Wolverine. It's everything you want from Sabretooth. The rest of the movie sucks. I get it. I agree. But this scene is dope.
Okay, I'm going to be honest.
I didn't say them in order.
I'm going to be honest with you. You picked the wrong scene.
From Origins?
Yeah. So, and I will stand by it. I think you picked the absolute worst scene from it. Not the worst scene. I shouldn't say worst scene. I misspoke. You picked the incorrect scene. I believe when Victor shows up to the bar and says, and it's like when they have their square off.
You got insurance?
Logs. That scene. No, shut your fucking mouth. You picked the war scene, like cool, like oh the montage. Look, they were in Vietnam. They are not aging. Like that's cool and all. I understand why, but as soon as he's sitting there drinking and he's like, "You got insurance?" Like Victor shows up through that door. That's a scene from X-Men Origins that is completely the most badass scene in the entire movie. Because the problem with X-Men Origins is everything other than Lee Schreiber and Hugh Jackman. This is the only scene that they're on screen together and they're actually fighting and they hate each other. Like, that's the scene that you love. This war scene is he becomes a war criminal because they show up and all those surrounding players are sitting there, and I can't stand those players in the game. It's literally Big Hero 6 in a nutshell for me. What?
Are you thinking of the right thing?
This is the opening.
You're just saying the opening credits?
Yeah, so I don't know who you're talking about that you can't stand because I'm not including the rest of the.
Okay, then he doesn't get to actually become a war criminal at that time. Then.
Yes, he does. He like brings the girl and throws her down, and then Wolverine's like Victor, no, and then they capture him.
Sure. Okay.
Oh my!
No, it doesn't. You don't get to see Sabretooth become like real Sabretooth at that point. So either way, you picked the wrong scene. In my eyes, you picked 100% the wrong scene from Origins. There is one acceptable scene from Origins. It shouldn't be in your top 10. It is Victor versus Wolverine in the bar. I think that's by far the best. And Sabretooth beats the living shit out of him. It's great. Everybody, you missed a gym. You missed a gym. Carly, you're safe. You're safe for a little bit longer.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah. I agree with Cody. I think the bar scene is the best scene of this movie. I like the opening credits. I think they're fine. Like they're good. This is your 5, dude.
Yeah.
This is your 5. You have this above the Leap of Faith from Spider-Verse. You have this above like some insanely good scene. This is your 5. That's all. I do like the bar scene a lot. I think that's the correct scene.
Fair, he's an Origins apologist. He really is. He doesn't believe this is the worst one.
I like that movie more than most people too. I like it more than Last Stand. Like I like that movie more than most people too. But this is your 5 is wild to me.
Watch it again.
So there is a I don't know if it's History Channel or National Geographic, but there is a 10-part documentary called America: The History of Us, and it's narrated by Liev Schreiber. That is the better wartime kind of real than what this piece of shit represents. Because look, I'm not gonna lie. Is it cool seeing them not age? Yeah, kind of. But yeah. If you want to see Liev Schreiber do some cool shit voicing wars, watch America: The Story of Us.
Yeah. This movie's not good.
I agree.
And I'm agreeing with you on that part. And I mean that scene just sort of comes and goes. It didn't really I don't really think of it like Robert and Cody said, the scene in the bar where he's like, "Do you have insurance?" and all that happens after is great. Great in the terms of this movie, but I don't know. I definitely have a hard time understanding a scene from this movie being in anybody's top 10. So, I mean, I have some questionable choices, but that's just the way I would
full Carly. Never go full Carly.
Yeah, never go full Carly.
Am I allowed to respond?
No, Carly.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So this is the opening credits scene to this movie.
Okay.
It's preceded by a bad scene.
Okay.
Would you take this or Watchmen?
Would I take which one? What's the answer? What's the question?
Would you take Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting throughout the American wars, or would you take the opening credits of Watchmen?
Not even close. Sorry.
Oh, this.
Thank you.
But with a bullet, yeah, you're good. You're fine. I'm kidding. Lee Schreiber and like those two are on screen together. No one else is really involved in that for it, so fine. So you get some pass, but yeah, Watchmen happens, so it's a terrible. It's an abomination. Go ahead.
Okay, and going with my streak here, it's going to keep going. It was yikes, I believe at least by TWOHIG, but the church fight scene at the end of Kingsman Secret Service.
Yeah, this is my 16.
Okay, so
my 13.
Okay. So, anyways, I definitely once again just another soft spot for this film. I know I'm going to keep getting a lot of crap because I keep picking action scenes with massive amounts of violence, but sorry, that's what I like. And also being from the state of Alabama, I really enjoyed the use of Freebird in this scene. I just feel like it absolutely just amped it up even farther, and it's super high speed. Like, I mean, Colin Firth just going through and absolutely destroying all these people, and the whole thing behind it, with the cell phones and all that kind of stuff. But I just love this fight scene all the way through. Like, I get so I hate to use this word, but I get so hyped watching this fight because it just so, because of the music, because of all of it. And it's absolutely, I love the chaotic nature of the filming. It's just great all the way through. And I absolutely love the scene.
I'll go. All right, yeah. No, I agree. I love this scene. I think the music is played perfectly to it. I love how it slows down. It goes into slow motion right before. And then as they just turn up the setting on the machine that makes them fight each other, that's when the music kicks in. There's that cool moment where Samuel L. Jackson's like, and we get the benefit of wiping out the Kingsmen. And Sophia Boutella is like, I don't know about that, because he's just ripping through all these really terrible people. Like they were set up as like very awful people. So watching them get like obliterated by Colin Firth is somewhat satisfying. And again, just the way it's choreographed, it's the best action in the Kingsman franchise by far. Possibly in greater Marvel, non-MCU, possibly I'd have to think on it. But yeah, it's real creative. I really like creative action, and I think this does it pretty well.
Yeah, this is my 16. Matthew Vaughn just keeps upping the ante with almost every film he does. Whether you have Kick-Ass and then First Class and now Kingsman. This scene is just so good, and the inclusion of Freebird is without a doubt the best part. The way that the scene kind of flows along with the beat of the song is terrific. I think Colin Firth saying that line that Ken put in the chat is absolutely glorious. This is one of the best pure action scenes we have in comic book films. Just the way it's choreographed is just insane, and the brutality of the scene. Like you've seen blood and gore in the film going up to this, but you haven't seen this much. I remember watching this in the theater with my dad, and he's like, I did not think there would be this much blood and gore. And 15-year-old me is just sitting there just loving every second of it. My dad's sitting there just petrified that he took me to this film. So yeah, love it.
I didn't have it, so.
Fair enough.
Cody, I will speak very briefly after Cody talks.
Carly.
Yes.
What I told Scully to do, tell the chat to fuck off. It's my list and I like it. Okay, second. I like the Kingsman, the Secret Service. Sorry, I hate the fucking Kingsman. This movie, on the other hand, great movie. One I definitely didn't expect to like as much as I did. Very disappointed in the sequel, but this scene is pretty badass. Like the entire scene, I understand why the scene. The first Robert had the other scene right from this movie, or was it the second one?
I had the bar scene from this film.
Yeah, so the whole
way back in like the 30s somewhere.
Yeah, I think those two scenes are awesome. Both of them have such good appeal. This scene is fucking batshit, to be honest with you. Like it really is. It's like just turned to as it goes up and everybody keeps fighting. It goes to fucking 1,000 in this scene, and it's pretty sweet. So respect the choice. I definitely understand why this is definitely on there. And I think Robert didn't have this because he thinks he wanted the because everybody else was going to probably have this one, so he had the other one.
No, I genuinely think the bar scene is better. I didn't pull like, I knew this would be brought up, so I want something like. I genuinely think the bar scene is better. I think this.
It's a good Paul impression.
I love the choreography of this scene, but I think it's a little bit too perfect. It's not quite raw enough. It's not quite just kind of dirt. It's a little bit too perfect. Whereas I think the bar scene is a little bit more gritty. It's a little bit. It's still choreographed very well, but I think it's just a little bit more real. It's just a little bit less like, oh man, I'm Colin Firth, I'm gonna fucking murder everybody. I agree. I think the quote that comes before this scene is insanely good and better than the actual action of the scene. Michael put it in the chat, so I'm not going to quote it, but it's an incredible quote. There it is. Thank you. Hail Satan and have a lovely afternoon. Yeah, great line. I just like the bar scene better. I just think I like this scene a lot. I think it's just choreographed a little bit too much. It's a little bit too precise. It's a little bit too perfect. So that's what edges it out compared to the bar scene, which was still like way down in like my 34 or something like that.
Okay. Carly, what's your 5?
That was my 5.
Is it?
Yeah. So,
okay. Thomas, what's your 5?
all right. So my 5, I call it a Silent Guardian, the Watchful Protector, a Dark Knight. It's the end of the Dark Knight. So it starts when Batman.
Oh, I had that earlier though.
No, but you had like the full.
I had the whole Harvey stuff too.
Yeah, the whole Harvey stuff. I cut out the Harvey stuff. This starts when Batman says, I should take the blame for Harvey's death, and it's everything that comes after that.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite ending to a comic book film ever. I just the way Nolan ends this film with kind of the montage of Gordon speaking to everyone about the death of Harvey and then smashing the bat signal, and then really going just bouncing between all the different characters, whether it's Lucius destroying the machine, from Alfred burning Rachel's letter to and then the very end where Gordon's son's like, where's he going? And Gordon says, well, we have to chase him. And then Hans Zimmer's score swells up, and then and then Gordon has this beautiful little speech in the end. We have to chase him because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs. So we'll hunt him, and then the rest, and then just the shot of him just driving off into the night. It brings a tear to my eye almost every time. It's such a good ending. I love what Nolan did with how he ended this film, because with so much going on, he could have easily ended it on a bad note. He was able to sum everything up, wrap it all up in a little bow, and then end it really well. I love the way that this film ends. It's probably one of my favorite, not my favorite ending to any film ever. Makes me cry almost every time, just because of the beauty of the direction of it and the score. So this was a no-brainer for my top 5.
So I think this is tough because I think we kind of addressed it with
A little bit.
Robert's pick, but I do love the ending of The Dark Knight. I think it's great. This is basically where he's like, I'm not the hero they need, like, at the moment. He goes off into
not the one.
Whatever the quote.
Right
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's an amazing scene. Absolutely, I think top 10 is totally fair for the scene. I have no issues. I like it kind of solo, other than the Harvey Dent stuff. So you get bonus points for that for just including this.
I all the Harvey stuff because that's like 30 fucking minutes.
Okay, so what does everybody else think about this scene?
There's 110% chance that Gordon's kid was like, "Yeah, Harvey pointed a gun at me." Like at school, there's 100% chance that he tattled on Harvey. There's no way Harvey is held up as a hero. I'm nitpicking. There's 100% chance, 100% chance that Harvey is 8 years later is not held up as a hero, because somebody fucking finds out. But besides that, the Harvey stuff that comes before that is far more emotionally resonant for me than these last 2-3 minutes of Gordon's narration.
I'm just letting you know this right now. There's a lady walking home from work that saw this entire fucking scene happen and sold it to the newspaper.
There's no way Gordon's
Harvey's
wife doesn't tell one of her girlfriends. There's no way that Gordon's kids don't blab.
The Dark Knight Rises.
So this just saying Dark Knight is bullshit. Go ahead, everybody.
Did you mean he could have left it off on like a bad note, meaning like could have been bad, or meaning like it's negative?
Meaning like he could have like cut it off at any point beforehand. Like with so much going on, he could have not found a way to accurately sum everything up and just end it on like just another plot detail. Instead, he was able to just give everything of what we just saw, see every character one last time before the end of the film, instead of just leaving out a bunch of subplots wide open.
Okay, that's fair. I thought you meant bad, because to me this is like a negative, like cliffhanger sort of ending, in the sense that like Batman now has to be the villain. Like we have to frame Batman as the villain, which is so good. I don't know. I like a lot of other scenes better in The Dark Knight. He doesn't insane nitpick, but he doesn't drive off into the dark. He sort of goes on a highway on ramp, and then that's the last shot. And I've always been like, oh, okay. But no, other than that, like it's a great speech. The movie itself is great. The idea of being the hero you deserve, but not the one you need right now, is all great. And honestly, I think The Dark Knight Rises capitalizes on it by not having Bruce like sort of reveal to everyone who he is. Because the point is to be Batman, not to be the hero you need, not to like get recognition or anything like that. So I agree, it's good. I just think there are better moments in the movie itself.
Yeah, and I mean it is a very appropriate ending for the film. I'm gonna jump on Robert's boat here, and just that the scene before that is much more like emotionally resonant to me. But I do agree it is a very good ending to the film, and I think it matches the tone like it should be. Yeah.
Nazario with facts.
Yeah, I agree. Batman Begins is a better movie. Dark Knight has
okay. Just to let everybody know, starting this point, shut up. Rule is fully activated because Multiplex has something else after this as well. So I have to get my producer there. Yeah. So who's for?
It's my 5.
Robert's 5.
Okay, go to your 5.
My 5 is yikes from earlier this episode, the Dark Knight interrogation scene.
Yikes.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Sorry, no. Sorry, that is my 11.
Yeah. Okay. I'll talk about it very quickly.
Different scene. That's my
bad. So this is just familiar this episode from Nick and last episode from Scully. It's after Harvey and Rachel are taken, and Joker. This is maybe Heath Ledger's best scene. He's just like, well, he may be in one spot or several, and who do you leave with him? Good cop, bad cop. Not exactly. And then, you never go for the head. Victim gets all fuzzy, right? You don't talk like one of them. You're not. They'll cast you out like a leper. Like, Batman bars the door. Joker switches their locations, which you obviously find out on rewatch. You realize that, he switched their locations when he told them to Batman, so that Batman chose the wrong option because he knew that he would try to save Rachel, but ended up saving Harvey. Just a masterclass in what hero versus villain filmmaking can be in superhero films.
Yeah, this is my 11. Everything Robert just said, so true. I think the chemistry between Bale and Ledger is so good. I think their give and take, it improves each other's performance. Just Bale's rage and anger is furthered by Ledger's sort of in insanity and how out of control he is and how wild and all over the place, chaotic. They both service each other really well in this scene. The dialogue is perfect, and it's the Batman and the Joker. It's one of the most iconic rivalries in comic books, and you want a scene that exemplifies that to a T, this goes above and beyond with that. So,
I agree. I had this at 10. Upon rewatch, this scene really shows you how smart the Joker is, because he does switch the addresses, and the reason he does that is because he knows that what will push Harvey over the edge is thinking that they came to save him over Rachel. And in all reality, Batman wasn't going to do that. He just was tricked into doing that. You sort of feel like the cops watching this scene, like the cops are the one who sent Batman in, Gordon, and all of them are sitting watching. And they sit and they're like, okay, this might have been a bad idea. Batman's getting really pissed. And then right when you're at the moment of uncomfort where you want it to stop, that's when they start to run in, but Batman blocks the door and it just hypes up from there. It's so well shot. Everything you said, Batman Joker, is awesome.
And you want me to go?
Did anybody else have it?
Nope.
I didn't have it because I'm an idiot. Add it to the counter. Yeah, just
I'll go.
Go ahead. Yep.
I will always absolutely love this scene where it's like, she can go for the head. Everything gets so fuzzy. Just basically, just give him right to switch everything. It's brilliant because like you've got us, like you understand it completely from Batman's angle. Like I've tried this one way. Fuck this anymore. I'm gonna beat the living shit out of you until you tell me what I need to know. And just that back and forth, like again, like Ledger's performance in this movie is like it's in a comic book. He has material to go off of and everything, but the way he pulls it off is just so brilliant. And this scene, I could watch this scene by itself in its entirety. I think the scene is absolutely incredible. And when he gives him the addresses and Batman takes off, and Batman swears he's going to get Rachel.
Who are you going to save? Rachel! Yeah.
And then shows up at it's just like fucking I mean, I know it's probably not included, but like basically the follow scene that comes out is it sets up so well. I absolutely love the scene. Well done. It's definitely, I think it's definitely top 10. Carly just forgot about it.
Yep, that's it.
Basically, everybody gets a slight pass than most because I told them all a topic to be on the show, which was top 40s. And then we wouldn't have a show. And then I told them scenes. And to dive in to find actual scenes for every movie in the amount of time I did, some things were going to go off. And some things
it was fun, though.
Forgot.
It was fun.
Oh, no.
That's a total pass that I give everybody. No one gets affected grade because they left off something because it was a rushed time. Okay, 4 for TWOHIG.
Number 4 is from X-Men Origins Wolverine when it's the elevator in Captain America when I started.
Yeah, this was my 25.
Cool.
I didn't have it.
No one else had it. It makes me so sad. Okay, so this is the scene. Cap gets in the elevator, then like one at a time stops on each floor because Cap has just left Robert Redford's character, Alexander Pierce. And Alexander Pierce wants him captured, and he sort of knows that. And this is the first hint at there might be something going on inside S.H.I.E.L.D. It's so well shot, the bead of sweat, the focus on the bead of sweat, the fact that one guy's hand is on his gun, but he's trying to act all nonchalant, and the fact that Cap notices it right before it's going to happen. And then, honestly, one of the most badass lines, probably in the entire MCU, is, before we get started, anyone want to get out? Oh, God, and then he just takes them all down in such a confined space. It's all so claustrophobic in a way, and Cap still handles it. They almost get him. And then he uses it to his advantage. It's some of the incredible action that the Winter Soldier has to offer, along with just what makes Captain America such a badass. Because he went from being an awesome character in the first Avenger. Then when you get to the Winter Soldier, you're like, he's just not an awesome character. He can back it up. And this is what shows it, and it culminates with him jumping out of the elevator, several stories, landing on his shield. It's one of the reasons Captain America is my favorite character, is this scene.
Yeah, this is my 25. I said last week there were like 12, 13 scenes from Winter Soldier I wanted to include, but I just went with the one just because I wanted. If I could have one, it would be this one. This is my favorite just because it shows off. It highlights Cap's change from the Avengers to Winter Soldier, how he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. He learned all these new moves. He learned all these new tricks, and it's paying off right here. It's also, I think, the best example of how good of a director the Russos are. They do a hell of a job directing this scene with the tension, like what Nick said, with the beat of sweat, to him just slowly seeing that this is no ordinary elevator ride. He's gonna have to kick some ass. And Frank Grillo too, as Brock Lemlo, he was so good. You know, when he says, "I'm sorry, Cap," but it's not personal, and when he puts the emphasis on the personal, I jumped a million feet in the air because I did not think he was about to attack like that. But yeah, this is just a testament to how strong Captain America is. How he can take down 15 guys with a couple of heavies in a crowded elevator. So fantastic scene.
No one else had this, right?
I did not.
Oh man, that scene! Like the fact that they had Robert Redford play this character, especially with pretty much superhero remake of 3 Days of the Condor, I absolutely love that mirroring. And basically, I'm so into it. This movie is my number 2 in the MCU. I think it is absolutely incredible. And that line, before we start, anybody want to get out? Just because you know what's about to fucking happen, and he's about to beat everyone's ass, and that's one of but that's the thing about Cap. So he's the good old boy in the first movie, and this is the movie where he gets an edge to him, and that he carries pretty much throughout the rest of the movie. I was on your side. I would freaking die for this organization, and now you fucked with the one thing that I stood for, and you made me look like a fool. So now it's on. And basically, when that elevator opens, and they're like. Everyone's just he takes them all out. It's just so good. I think this scene is absolutely incredible. Well done to it for including it. You saved yourself a little bit from the if you would have had that scene higher than this scene, I probably would have leaped out a tall building. I wouldn't have a shield to fall on. So what does everybody else? 2 people did not have it. Why not?
This was honestly the final cut I made. Like, no joke. Like, we've joked a lot about, like, oh, I had 260 plus. Like,
everybody has 41. Right?
This genuinely was my last cut. I prefer the highway chase. It has a little bit more emotional toll. I think the action, when you have Winter Soldier included, is a little bit more dynamic. It's very claustrophobic. It's a great action scene. I just think there are better action scenes in this movie. And little bit of Paul, I knew it would be brought up, and I wanted to talk about the highway chasing because I wasn't sure anybody else would bring it up. So a little bit of gaming the system there, but I love this scene. It just didn't quite make the cut.
And I hate to sound like a broken record, but yet again, this one just like out the window. I absolutely love this movie. Like Winter Soldier is absolutely a top 5 MCU, and I'm planning on hitting 10. No, maybe not. But anyways, I should have included this one. You know, it just slipped my mind and didn't make it on the list. That's all I can say.
I just want to point out Spence has said like 4 times that this could have been their number 1.
I mean, are we shocked? Do we have to pretend to be?
Well, and it was like 4 separate scenes, right? It wasn't just this.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyways.
Cody?
What is your 4, Carl?
Okay. My 4, well, gonna get some slack for this, but I don't really care. It is, well, I call it the puny god scene. So basically the interaction between Hulk and Loki until the last line where he says, "I'll take that drink now," basically is this scene. But I don't know. It's just the first Avengers film, you know, it's probably just a little sappy because it's the first time we've seen all of them together. And I just love the Hulk just completely tossing around Loki like a little, you know, rag doll after he's talking shit to him, and just throws in that funny little puny gods line. And I don't know. I think it's just more than that than anything else. And just seeing all the Avengers on film at once is just sentimental to me. So that's why I feel like it deserved a spot this high.
Are we saying when it ends, like when they're all like surrounding?
Yeah. And he's like, I'll take that drink now. I believe that was the line, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, we have a Hulk smash, and then basically, okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very shortly after that, yeah.
Yeah, the Avengers, the first movie, fell very hard for me when I recently watched it. And I think it's because I've probably seen that movie the most of all the MCU movies. I saw it so many times the year it came out that I can tell you sometimes when I watch a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, that scene's coming next. But in the Avengers, I know like this happens, and then this one happens, and this happens, and this happens. There's a scene from the Avengers that I really enjoy that I don't think made anybody's list. But if I would have put one from the Avengers, it's probably Tony and Cap's back and forth at each other when they're literally
Put on the suit.
Yeah. You want to go right now? Like that scene for me, because it sets up for what's coming later between those two. And take off that suit. What are you? And that's what I like. But I understand the Puny God stuff. I definitely get it. It just that movie fell so hard for me in the recently. What does everybody else think about Puny God?
It's good. I mean, it's like a good 15 to 20 seconds. It's a really funny moment. It's the first time actually. I mean, we get to hear Hulk speak. I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess it kind of tells us that Loki's all powerful, but the Hulk is the Hulk. It tells us that the Hulk is just so powerful. It's fine. It wouldn't really sniff my top 40, but it's a funny moment.
I agree with that. So many stairs. Hulk talked a lot during that, apparently. I agree. It's more of a moment than a scene for me. It's a good enough moment that the MCU felt the need to call back to it later in Thor Ragnarok, so I commend it for that. It definitely has staying power, and people remember it. But there's not much else going on for me that would make me want to put it on.
I agree. Yeah, there are other scenes I would rather include than this one from the first Avengers, Thor versus Hulk or the fight in the forest. Incredible line, and again, very funny to call back to in later movies, just not something that memorable, but not top 40. Definitely not top 5 for me personally.
Okay. What is yours, Scully?
My 4 is No Man's Land from Wonder Woman.
That was my 9.
I had it as well a long time ago.
This scene is iconic. Before I saw Wonder Woman, my only experience with watching Wonder Woman was on a couple of cartoons. So I really didn't have a whole lot of information on Wonder Woman, the character. This scene just exemplifies kind of what she stands for, and sort of the glory and the prestige of her character. Rupert Gregson-Williams' score is one of the most underrated comic book scores ever. Especially in this particular scene, the way the music swells up as she takes off her cape, jacket, whatever, walks up the stairs, puts out her arms, just like announcing her arrival to the human world. And you see that first bullet come slowly towards her, and she just instantly deflects it. And then the Germans are shooting. It's just such a beautiful moment in this film. It renders me speechless every time I watch it, because I can't believe that Patty Jenkins was able to put a moment like this in a movie that this is one of those comic films where if I get amnesia, I probably still won't forget this particular scene because it's so good. Wonder Woman is now one of my favorite comic characters because of what Jenkins does with this movie, what Gal Gadot does with the character, and this scene in particular. It's one of the best superhero character introductions we have. So an easy choice for my number 4.
This was my 9. I agree in many ways. In history class in high school, I really enjoyed history. I specifically remember, I will never forget the day I learned about what No Man's Land is, when we were learning about World War II and stuff like that. And just the picture my teacher painted for me was just unholy terror. And honestly, Patty Jenkins really made that come through in this scene, and how terrifying it would be. Like, these guys have been here for months and they've barely gained an inch. And just to see Wonder Woman go out with none of that, and it's no words, such a good choice to have her say nothing after she decides she's going. Because here's the thing: if this was the Lord of the Rings, and I love the Lord of the Rings, but because the Lord of the Rings exists, I'm glad they didn't do this. But Chris Pine says that means no man can cross it. She would look back and be like, "I am no man." Like that, I would have been like, But the fact that she says nothing, she says, "Screw you, I'm doing this." is so badass, and it's so awesome. And the fact that she draws all the fire so that they can then come after her, and then they retake the city. It's really one of those powerful character moments, and honestly, it's by far the best moment in the Worlds of DC, but not in a whole lot.
Fair enough.
I had this back at 26. In the top 10 is crazy high for me personally. I take this scene through the scene where the bell tower, they go to the town, Charlie can't shoot, all that kind of stuff. It's good stuff. The main reason I love this scene is because we see her compassion. She doesn't do it for a country, she doesn't do it for a person, she doesn't do it for herself. She does it because there's normal people who are suffering and they don't deserve it. There's just the random woman who is crying and she deserves justice, and that's why she does it. So I love the scene. I agree there it could have been campy. I am no man, and I'm glad it wasn't, because that already did happen, and I agree it's a cheesy moment of Lord of the Rings, but a perfect moment nonetheless. And it's a great scene. That's just really high for me.
Carly, did you have it?
I didn't.
Good.
Like I said, just add it to the list of the last few picks.
No, you're fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
Insert all the Cody hates women and doesn't give a shit about those. I hate the fucking DCU. I'm gonna be honest with you. I fucking hate the DCU. There is probably one movie on that entire slate that I actually enjoy, and that is still at probably a 3.5 stars. I think the scene's cool. The scene's cool. Like. But it's definitely just made there to be a cool scene. Like it does have heart and mellow. But if we're talking solely when she crosses the battlefield as crossing no man's land for the first time, it is a cool moment and thing. But at the end of the day, it means absolutely fucking nothing to the film. Like to me, it means nothing because it ends badly. The film ends badly. It doesn't carry on any more weight from that. Like that, I hate when it's like in the middle of the movie and they do that scene like a flipping gem. Like that scene when you think of everything, like how it looks, how it's shot, how it's composed, like all that stuff, and they can't do a final battle scene at the end, pisses me off to know it. Like, how can you do that scene well and this scene suck? It pisses me off. So again, I'm not a DCU fan. I'm not going to defend any of these movies. Wonder Woman's probably overall the best one, but honestly, I don't care at the end of the day about the character. Okay. This is
my
Robert's?
4, I think. Yep.
Your 4?
Yeah.
All
right. I'll keep it real quick. It is Civil War, Bucky and Cap versus Tony.
This was my 23.
It's my 6.
Okay. Yep. This is an incredible scene. It is the best non-group fight scene in the MCU, in any comic book movie. It is the score is incredible. It's the "Don't bullshit me, Rogers. Did you know?" And it's the "I don't care. He killed my mom." And it's the duking it out. The action is incredibly staged, but the emotional toll is really what matters here. It's Tony's laser bouncing off the shield, which is an incredible visual moment. It's Tony talking about how Cap doesn't deserve the shield. My father built that shield, and he drops it, and he gives up being Captain America in that moment because Bucky matters more. The emotion and the action at a perfect culmination in the MCU. I think Civil War is a movie that in 2016 was kind of like you didn't really understand it fully, but now knowing where the MCU went, you appreciate it more. And now that Endgame and Infinity War have come out, you appreciate Civil War more. And it is an incredible final scene of that film, or close to final scene of that film.
This was my 6. I agree, Scully. I did read a couple, probably more comic stories than you, but Civil War is by far my favorite. And if we were ranking top 40 moments or shots, it's Iron Man going up against Cap's shield in the. God, it's so good. But literally just the idea of Cap, because Cap explains it later, but you know it in this scene that Cap didn't tell Tony for his own protection. And that really backfires on him because the people that are like, oh, if Iron Man would just like relax and they could catch Zemo and then nothing bad would happen. It's like, dude, you just found out the guy who killed your mom is standing in front of you. You are not rational in any way whatsoever. The action is really, I think the action is really good. Yes, there's so many good lines. There's so many badass lines. Iron Man analyzing Cap's fight pattern to come back. Bucky's arm gets blown off.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things. Tony, this isn't going to change anything. I don't care. He killed my mom. That's all you need. That's all you need to know why they're fighting. And it's literally the biggest reason most people could relate to. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, this is my 23. It's weird. Like with Civil War, my favorite moments, even in the battles, are the moments of dialogue. It's like the pure action scenes are, I think, my least favorite part. This is very. I think the strength of it lies on the back end of the fight, where Bucky's arm is blown up, and then the dialogue between Cap and Cap and Tony. I also included the stuff with T'Challa and Zemo. I included that in the scene, which I think is also a really powerful moment. I think it's one of T'Challa's best MCU moments, him letting go of his hate and his anger and doing what is best for everyone instead of just himself. But yeah, I agree. The singular shot of the shield and Tony's blast coming together, pulled right from the comics, beautiful shot, and then Tony's thing in the end where it's like, "You don't deserve that shield. My father made that shield," and then he drops it. Fantastic. But yeah, I like the dialogue more than the unspoken battle sequences. Aside from Bucky's arm being blasted off, I think his arm being blasted off was the one shock moment that I really wanted. I was looking for in the film, so I'm glad I got at least that. But yeah, this is by far the best scene from Civil
War. There's a lot of good scenes. I think if I'm gonna be honest, this is probably my favorite scene from the MCU. If I'm being 100% transparent, there's a lot of cool shots. There's a lot of moments that mean a lot, but Tony and Cap finally squaring off for the first time is absolutely amazing. He's my friend. Yeah, so was I. And basically the whole battle, Zemo's the real genius that he gets. Zemo's is the great genius that gets everybody into the room to watch a VHS tape. I still credit him for that. But the overall, the battle with it, and Tony is like, mimic his fight pattern. It doesn't matter. Go, and like just fucking starts hammering a home. Like that shit's like really cool that you don't get like, and the chest like buries breaks his suit basically with it, and like the storm out. I agree with the Zemo line. I think that's Black Panther's best line is the "living's not done with you yet." Like that shit is so good. So great scene. This is my favorite scene from the MCU by far. This entire battle is the best thing from the MCU. Nick.
Same thing. Keep it going.
I know. And Koho,
Oh,
I'm just going to let you know you are free to leave when you need to. Just give me a thumbs and I will take over the show. Okay. We are going to.
Nate, 2 weeks, 3. 2 weeks, 3.
My 3?
2 weeks. What's your 3?
Might be a yikes. It's Portals from Endgame.
Yikes.
It's also my 3.
Okay. Scully, what's your 3?
Don't we go to? Oh yeah, okay. My 3. It is the 2 Xavier scene from X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I had that back at another 22. Is what I had that at.
So Charles Xavier is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. I think my one criticism of the Stewart Xaviers is that it doesn't really fully flesh him out. He's, aside from a couple of scenes of anger in Last Stand, he doesn't really show a whole ton of emotion. What McAvoy is able to do, especially in Days of Future Past, is give an entire emotional level to this character. Fassbender steals the show in First Class. McAvoy steals the show in Days of Future Past. He is the emotion he has in this scene where he's so afraid of his full potential, where he's afraid of what will happen if he can hear all the voices. He's afraid of being consumed by all the voices that he hears. Is so tragic. And it's even more tragic when you think about in Logan, before the events of Logan, what happens that causes all the X-Men to die. It's that fear of something bad happening to those around him that comes true before Logan, that when you watch Days of Future Past again, you're like, oh my God, that came true, but neither of them knew it. And the scene also reinforces the idea that we ourselves are our best coaches. We can give ourselves the best pep talk. If we are in a dark and deep place where we're just so afraid of everything coming, the only person who can bring us out is ourselves. And both the Stewart Charles and McAvoy Charles talking to each other, learning from each other, the vision that the Stewart Xavier gives the McAvoy Xavier of the school and all the kids coming through it, while John Ottman's new Xavier theme plays, so beautiful. It speaks to Xavier as a whole. It gives you every level of Charles Xavier as a character, as a person, and it helps Xavier become the leader of the X-Men that you see in this film, and then in Apocalypse, and then in Dark Phoenix, which I know are very good films, but you still see that leadership from Xavier exemplified, and it stems from this particular scene. So this is my favorite X-Men scene. It's so raw, it's so emotional, and it's fantastic.
I'll talk quick. It was my 22. It's where Cerebro goes nuts. Logan makes Charles read his mind. It's McAvoy's best scene in any X-Men movie. It's a really insight into Charles' powers, where he goes, it's not up here, it's in here. He really feels with everybody that he reads their mind. He really feels for he's the most empathetic character in the world, and that's why he shut off his powers, because his heart couldn't bear the pain anymore. We see how broken and unconfident Charles is. Logan is like, yeah, they were going to send you. I was the one who physically could make the trip. You're the one. You're the man. Charles sees Logan's pain. He sees the stuff from Origins, from Last Stand, from X2. The line, I don't want your suffering, I don't want your future. Maybe the best delivered line by any actor in any X-Men movie, by McAvoy. And, then the conversation between Stewart and McAvoy is just incredible. Very good scene. All those voices, all that pain. Like we see, we hear that like Superman has this thing where like he can hear everybody and he has to choose which people like tune out and save. That is Charles Xavier in this scene, and it connects far more emotionally.
Quickest 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Anyways, anybody else have the scene?
No.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic scene. You guys are coming up on a record of we're talking scenes, and we literally did movies top 100, and you guys are going to pass that time by a mile. But anyways, I think the scene is absolutely incredible. I agree. I absolutely love both this Xavier moment. The reason why James McAvoy is the best Professor X is because they make it about him instead of just being the side character as he is in the first few X-Men movies. He's actually one of the driving forces of the new series. Everybody else didn't have this. Why not?
In retrospect, I probably should have, because thinking back on it, it's really, really good. And there's that moment where sort of, you realize that Professor X's motivation towards humans was given to him by his older self, because there's that moment where he's like, Eric was right. They screwed up. And he's like, not if we show them a better way. Not if we show them a better path. It's really good. It's really well acted by both. I probably would have had it a lot lower if I did remember to have it. I still think the Sentinel attack is the best scene in Days of Future Past. But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, same sort of boat here. Just, in hindsight, I probably should have. But it is a very important scene to the whole series. So I totally understand having it on your thing. And I really enjoyed James McAvoy. I thought he was a great casting. So I understand it completely.
Okay. What is this? 2 for
my 3?
Robert's 3.
Yeah.
Infinity War, Thor arrives in Wakanda.
That is my number 13.
And that was my number 17.
That was my much further down, but go ahead.
Cool. Basically, we hear the Silvestri Avengers theme. It's the "you guys are so screwed now." It's one of the most massive grin, like shit-eating grin moments ever in movie history. It's the "bring me Thanos" all the way through. You copied my beard? I am Steve Rogers, right? All those moments. It is one of the best action scenes, and just the score and the Thor joining the fight is just like one of the most rah moments of any comic book movie.
Yeah, this is my 13. Incredible scene where it's the Battle of Wakanda. They're starting to lose ground. All the Avengers and T'Challa and everybody are kind of on the fence, and then all of a sudden, boom, he comes in with Rocket and with Groot, and then the Avengers team kicks in, and Yeah, I will say my one criticism: the head of Mark Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster is kind of unsettling, but no, it didn't really affect my placement. But it's still a great scene.
Yeah, I mean, it not much to really add to that. It's a great, fuck yeah, kind of, rallying the troops kind of scene, and just beautifully shot, the music and everything with it. It was absolutely fantastic. So really enjoyed every minute of it. I
had it at 25. I think it's awesome. I think it's an awesome poster. Just Thor jumping up with the lightning around it and landing. It's so awesome. The reason it's so low. I love Infinity War. I love almost everything about Infinity War. I think they ruined Bruce for me a little bit, to the point where you guys are screwed now is more of an eye roll for me, because they've already done the should we bow, and like that's funny like when it happens, and then it's like we didn't think of it, and it's like okay haha, another like make fun of Bruce moment, and then he's running in the Hulkbuster and he trips and Okoye just sort of rolls his eye at him, and I'm like, okay, we're really just making Bruce into a doofus here, aren't we? And then by the time he's like, you guys are screwed, I'm like, all right, one too many for me. That's why it lowers it, but everything else around the scene is still awesome.
Yep.
Oh, I'm on the opposite. I really like the line of you're screwed now, because when he comes out of the thing and the lightning shines down and like just eliminates so many people. I guess it's like the Thor that we have always wanted to see in the MCU that has been kind of like nice, subdued Thor, like has the ability, is making quick jokes, but no, he's coming down, he's like, bring me Thanos, and he's fucking mad. It's one of the cool scenes. So well done. 25 is too low, Nick, so no offense. No, not you.
Oh, no. Other Nick.
It's other Nick, Twohig. All right, Twohig, what's your 2?
My 2?
Right.
I don't think I've heard this said yet, and I'm kind of upset, but I think Cody will appreciate this. My number 2 is The Party, lifting Mjolnir in Avengers Age of Ultron. No? No one? Okay.
I will appreciate this one.
This is the moment where we get to see the Avengers as people. It scenes like this, and I think this is the best scene of this sort of example that humanizes these characters to a degree where we actually care about them while they're fighting. They literally turn it into like a drinking game. Like, who can lift Mjolnir? And it's the most camaraderie sort of after party moment. It was really reminiscent of like interactions I've had with my friends in college and things like that. Like, Tony trying to lift it, and he's like, I will be there's a lot of funny, quippy moments. I will be reinstituting Prima Nocta if I then rule Asgard. And obviously biased, this is where Cap first budges Mjolnir. It's absolutely dope. Because especially with the payoff later, but we'll get to that. Like I said, it just humanizes them to a degree, and I love those sort of moments in the MCU, and I think this is the best one that does that, of making us relate to these people that are so otherworldly that we shouldn't be able to relate to them, but we do.
I absolutely love this scene. No one else had this, and I am with you. It's kind of like the whole thing. Once this is all over, we should get shawarma together. Like that. What do they do in their downtime? And they're basically all just okay. I love when Rhodey and Cat. Are you even trying? Like, and they're using all their force to try to move this. You're just not worthy. Like all of the stuff. And then when you see the budge and like Thor's face, like, fuck is this? Like, this is some shit. And then I would include like this part where like as soon as they're trying all that stuff, and then you hear the play that I got no strings like play, and then he shows up, like that shit's cool to me. I think people wanted something way different from Ultron, and I got exactly what I wanted from Ultron. But yeah, the whole party and just chilling together is one of those chill moments. 2's high, but I kind of respect the hell out of it, because like that makes me like super impressed, because like it's a scene that most people won't think about, but it's one, if you told me an MCU scene, it's one of those scenes that always popped in my head because it's so much fun. Not everybody had it, so don't talk for 6 years on it, but tell me why you didn't have this on your list.
This scene is fun. This scene is mostly memorable because it's the scene they attached to the first trailer for it after it leaked online, and they had to attach this scene onto the trailer at the end of an episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's what it's most memorable for me. Yeah, the scene's good, so fine.
I like this scene a lot. I really love how Hawkeye's just spinning like a drumstick. Like it really is just like a hangout scene. Love it. One of my favorite scenes of this movie. Love this movie more than most. Just didn't crack the top 40.
Yeah, I mean, Age of Ultron. I think the more I'd watch it, the more I would appreciate it. And this is a very fun scene, and I understand the camaraderie aspect of it, but it just didn't make it.
Fair. Well, you can tell us what did on your number 2.
Ooh. We'll see how this goes. I went with I called it the Deadpool car chase, but it starts with the I knew that was coming. It starts with him listening to music, drawing his little figure, and then
that was my 19.
Yeah, so. I like Deadpool. So sorry, everybody. I love this movie. I think it, absolutely brilliantly played by Ryan Reynolds, and this is just an absolutely great introduction to this to his character, his attitude, and just like how much of a badass he is. So it's a great introduction to a film, and I really enjoy it, and I think it deserved the place that it got. So.
I agree. I had it a bit lower down, but there's a lot of funny jokes in this scene, like the pulverine and the smell the leather of the car, and have you seen this man? And the don't swallow and the stove on, and it ends with the guy splatting on the sign. Like it's really good dynamic action. It's my favorite action scene of the film. It might be my favorite. I think it is my favorite scene of Deadpool. It's the first real fourth wall break of the movie, and I think it sets us up really well for what's gonna come in the rest of the film.
Yeah, Deadpool's a cool fart joke the first time. Doesn't really live up for it the rest of it. I don't like rewatching this movie very much.
Fair enough.
I think the scene I like the most from Deadpool is what's my name? I'm gonna fucking spell it out for you. That part always gets me. Other than that, I think it's fun because it kicks off, but I think those jokes just fall flat over time. That's my biggest problem with this. It's just for first time viewing, hilarious. The reason Deadpool always thing for 3 days straight at the theater for every showing, I had to sit in the back of the theater for the first 30 minutes of this movie to make sure teenagers didn't come through and didn't sneak into this theater. So it wears on you real thin after that point. So the jokes, that's for 3 days. That's 6 showings. That's a lot of time to see this opening.
Oh, I get that. I get that.
So it will never crack anything, and that's another reason. So blame AMC theaters for why I hate this film as much as I do. And you two didn't have it, so why not?
It's a good scene. I think it might be my favorite scene from Deadpool, but I'm kind of with Cody. That I think the Deadpool kind of gets annoying after. Like, it's the perfect runtime. If it goes any longer, it becomes almost unbearable. I can't watch this film more than once every 6 months. Otherwise, it just really gets on my nerves. But, I love Ryan Reynolds. I like the jokes, but I don't need to hear them every day. So,
I actually like Deadpool a lot, but I do agree that I don't think all of the jokes hold up or will hold up. Like, who knows if Wolverine will even be relevant in a couple of years from now? In the sense that this movie is very important that you know when this movie came out and what else was going on. The other reason I didn't include it, I thought about it. I think I was holding some bias in it because this is the scene that was leaked very long time ago by probably Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller.
It was.
That sort of kicked off the Deadpool thing. So I like it for that reason, but I didn't feel that was a good enough reason for me to include it here.
Fair enough. Scully, you're two. And you're muted again.
All right. My 2 is Portals.
Yikes.
All right.
Okay.
What's your 2, Robert?
My number 2 is the bank heist from Dark Knight.
Yikes.
All right.
Okay, well, we know where those were.
We know where 2 of them
All
are.
right, just a real quick question. Who's the number 1? Okay, 2, what's your 1? I know what it is.
You know it is. My number 1 is the payoff to the setup from my number 2, and it's Captain Mjolnir.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay. Captain America is my favorite character because he's this guy that came from nothing, and he shows you that just an ordinary man, an ordinary person, can be worthy. Like setting up Mjolnir and Thor the way they do, in terms of like this is the thing that means you're worthy, is done so well to the point where it pays off because Cap isn't special according to Tony. Cap isn't special. Everything special about you came out of a bottle. This is the moment that shows you, nope, you're dead wrong. This dude has the principle, has the moral authority over himself to be worthy of lifting Mjolnir. I do include. We need to iron out some details. I do include the fight up to it because, and I watched the movie yesterday. The three of them stand there, and Thor's like, "We'll kill him properly this time," and then the lightning braids his beard. And then they walk up to him, and they each throw like a jab. Then it cuts away to like Hulk and Rocket and all them. Then it comes back, and it's actually them fighting. So that's what I'm talking about. It's them fighting. He takes out Iron Man. Iron Man first gets like his big thing, and Thor blasts him with lightning, and then he blasted at Thanos. Then Iron Man gets taken out. Then Cap gets taken out. Then he takes Thor and kicks the living crap out of him. He's about to shove the axe into Thor's chest, and then you just see Mjolnir be lifted and take Thanos out. And then for probably the greatest 30 seconds of my life, if I'm being very honest, Cap just unleashes holy hell on Thanos with the power of Thor. And it's literally like all my comic dreams come true because from that moment in Avengers Age of Ultron, I knew that Cap was worthy. Or would be worthy someday. I didn't know if they'd actually show it on screen. I was especially disappointed when they destroyed Mjolnir in Ragnarok. I didn't think it would happen. And then I forgot about it when Mjolnir comes back in Endgame. So this was a scene that was really surprising, really out of nowhere, but is literally just everything that makes me love comics and makes me love comic book movies.
Yeah, this was my 10. I know it may not be included correctly in the math, but I agree. I do not include the scene where they're like, let's kill him properly this time. It's definitely a trap. And they each like fight for like half a second, then it cuts away. When it cuts back, and then it's truly the trio for like a couple minutes, and then it becomes Cap lifts Mjolnir. It's just so badass. Thanos using Stormbreaker as a baseball bat to hit Mjolnir is incredible. Of course, includes Cap lifting Mjolnir using the thunder, bringing it down, and it ends with Cap's shield just in pieces, just torn apart. That's the scene that I'm including. So I titled it differently, but I think TWOHIG and I have the same scene here.
All right, this was my 34, and I know y'all think it's low, but it's one simple word. It's overexposure. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I saw this film and this moment came out, I was sitting at the edge of the aisle. I leapt out of my seat, and I ran up and down the aisle because I was so fucking hyped that this was happening. However, in the time since Endgame has come out, I have seen more memes, videos, photos, bootlegs of this particular scene so much, it's become oversaturated. I've seen it so many times. It's become near, not unbearable, but pretty. I try to avoid it when I can. So I love this scene, but right now I'm a little sick of it. So that's the only reason why it's so low. I love this scene, but I swear to God, if I see it between now and like a year from now, when I'll finally be able to go back to it and watch it without being irritated, I might just test the structural integrity of the wall with my head, because seriously, it's just so much overexposure. Because all my friends watched it and they loved it and they kept sharing the memes and the photos and all that stuff, but it was just really annoying. So that's why I got dinged from it.
I mean, I had it at 7, so I mean, I'm in the same boat everybody here. I mean, it's just an excellent payoff, and just the fight in general is just very unique compared to what we had seen already, and it's just awesome all the way through. So it's great.
Yeah, this scene fucking kicks ass. Like, I don't care how many times I see it. When that hammer goes into his hand, I'm like, let's fucking go. Cap's not my favorite character, but when he finally gets that, when you hear him put his hand out and it comes, I'm like, okay, let's do this. It's sweet. I absolutely love the scene. I am the one that still sees it on Facebook that still gets hyped when I look at the scene. I'm like, and I sit there for 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, I'm watching the scene again. What the hell? I need something else to do. Great scene. It should have been in your top 10, I think, overall. I hope you don't ram your head. I also glad it didn't work at the theater when you ran up and down the aisle, because I would have had to ask you to leave. That would have been very awkward. the fuck's going on, guys? Sit the fuck down. Okay. Tuig, what? Carly, what's your one?
My one is from The Dark Knight. It's what I called it the Joker pencil scene. It's Joker coming in, crashing the mob meeting.
The magic trick.
Yeah. So I'll just be real quick with it. I absolutely love. I think this is just a master class and just of Heath Ledger showing off the Joker. I mean, coming in the entry with that laugh is absolutely iconic. I love watching it every time. And just, him coming in, establishing himself, being like, what you guys are doing everything wrong. You need what we need to kill the Batman, and just, just coming up and showing what's for. And I just, it shows how great, Heath Ledger was in that role. And it just that one automatically stuck out as my number one because it's just absolutely iconic scene in that film. So absolutely deserves to be there.
Who else had this one?
I don't think anybody did.
No one else had the magic scene? Magic trick?
I don't think so.
That's a fucking shock. Okay, what the fuck? I agree with you 100%. I think this is one of the best scenes from The Dark Knight in comic books. So you definitely saved yourself with this one. I think the overall, when he smacks I remember being in the theater being like, I stood up and ran up and down the aisles flipping out. No, I'm just kidding. When I saw them, I'm like, holy shit, this is okay, we're going to a different level of comic book here. This is gonna be this is mob mentality. He's straight a mob boss at this point, and that's a Joker that's insane. I think the pencil scene is one of the best scenes in this movie. I think it's literally probably in top 3 of The Dark Knight. So well done. I'm surprised that no one else had it. Why did no one else have this one?
I love the scene. It's super quotable. What did your balls drop off? Or they're just like, what? Or I killed the Batman. Or you think you can rub with us and get away with it? Yeah. It's just such a great line. Maybe the best Ledger scene. Not in my top of Dark Knight. I like the ending scene. I like the interrogation, the bank robbery. I like the underground chase scene. I like the opening scene. There's just a lot of Dark Knight scenes, and this one just didn't crack it for me. I would have put the tryout scene above this one if I was gonna sort of rank Dark Knight scenes, but still a great scene.
Yeah, I think that scene is in that weird spot where it's after the killer opening, but also it's so far removed from everything else that comes in the second and the third act. It's in the worst possible spot to be in. I still love it, but in terms of all the Dark Knight scenes, if I had to rank them, this might be 7 or 8. So,
okay.
Fun fact: I actually cannot watch the pencil moment anymore. The first time I saw it, I can't right when he's about to do it, I'm like, oh, okay. Because just the thought of that squirms me out. But like Scully said, this scene has the unfortunate placement of being literally directly between two of my other favorite scenes that I've already talked about. I think one we're going to talk about in a second is the beginning, and then the Why So Serious scene with Gamble after it. So it's very good. Every scene in this movie is very good. It's just between two scenes that I like more, so it lessens it for me.
Fair enough.
All right. All right, Scully, I wonder what your one.
Number one, opening bank robbery. Boil this scene down in a few words. Let Christopher Nolan be Christopher Nolan. This is where Nolan gets to sort of get his creative juices flowing, create his own special opening, using his own tropes and his own style of filmmaking while staying true to the story he's trying to tell. At the very start, you see the clown mask. All right, well, this is going to be Joker's goons going in, and then just the way that the scene unfolds with all the robbers killing each other, and then William Fichtner shows up with a shotgun. They're like, oh shit, this is not a bank robbery. This is a mob bank robbery. So he's going after the mob here. So Nolan creates this kind of confusion and questioning, what's right from the get-go, what is his motive? What is his approach? And then, of course, the whole line where, no, I killed the bus driver. That's when shit, this is the Joker. This is the Joker. So yeah, this scene is This scene is perfect. It's the best scene from The Dark Knight, best comic book film scene. It combines my three of my favorite things: Batman, superhero films, and Christopher Nolan. So, of course, this is my one.
It was my number 2. I love the score. It's just very eerie. It starts with sort of this ringing in your ear, and you just know exactly what kind of movie you're going to get with that opening score. You mentioned a lot of the iconic quotes. The whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger. The he's out, right? Where'd you learn to count? Just fucking blows him away. The William Sphincter scene is really, really good. Sorry, Fincter. This is bullshit. I want another question. You get the chaotic nature. You get the chaotic nature of the Joker. His myth on the street, his goons talk about it. This must be the Joker's job, right? Funny, he told me something similar. Like, it's just an incredible scene. I know it's loosely based on the heist from Heat, which is another great scene. But I love this scene. I can quote the entire thing. It's just, I said it from the beginning. I love opening scenes. This puts you in the world of the Dark Knight perfectly.
Yeah, this was my 16. Very similar reasons. This is how you do goons and not make them stupid and painting paintings in a museum. This is how you do like bad guys, generic bad guys in a realistic movie. And I agree, it sets up the rest of the Dark Knight perfectly. It shows you, the interrogation scene does it as well, but it also shows you how intelligent the Joker is, how much of a threat mentally he is, because he's able to choreograph everything so perfectly to work out and for him to escape. So it's just everything that was said, I echo.
And I just said, I guess it's the Dark Knight. It is a great scene. It's one of the best IMAX film scenes I've ever seen in the theater. Just I'll go ahead and say that. But it probably should have made it. It is what it is. Hindsight's 20/20 here, but absolutely great scene. Beautiful scene to watch in the theater for sure.
We made it 4 weeks and he still talked before me. Shame on you. You're great. Just ordered a minute. The scene that I like the most, I like the I killed the bus driver and all those scenes, but I honestly like Finkner's lines during this. Like, this used to be about honor.
Dead.
Yeah, he's like, this used to be about honor, respect, all that stuff, and like basically tells him, and then Joker, I wouldn't kill you, makes you a stranger. You see that face for the first time, you're like, fuck. Like, you think that you walked into the person, you think you walked into like a normal robbery, like some up and coming mob. You don't know who the hell you just ran into at that point. And it's such a cool scene. And especially when the scene pulls away and it's like in the bus line, which terrible bus driver in the back, like 100%. The one right behind him, you have a fucking radio. What the hell are you doing? Like, dude, this dude just was bad. Anybody else see that? I don't know, Doris. I'm delivering kit. Like, who are you? Like, the terrible things. But great scene. I'm being Nick for a second. Fuck, what? Where did they get a school bus? They didn't report it? Like, it's stolen? What the fuck? It was backed in? No one stopped by?
Has rubble fallen off it? You think someone would get out of the line?
Woof. All right, what is number 1 from Robert? And we're going to close out the show.
Yes, Scully and I swapped 1 and 2, minus Portals from Endgame. I think if Thor arriving on Wakanda is one of the most rah-rah, massive shit-eating grid moments in film history, this is the number 1. Cap faces down this massive army alone, and then you just hear, on your left. And it's the Giant Man emerging. It's the Avengers assemble. Finally, you hear that line. It's Tony and Pepper fighting together. It's Cap and Thor switching weapons. You take I take the little one. It's Spider-Man and T'Challa and the Guardians and Doctor Strange and everybody coming back from the dead. It is just, when you hear on your left, you're just transported back to the theater and you have the biggest grin on your face in the world. And it is just what movie making can elicit a reaction. And it's just, God damn, I love what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
Who else had it? Everybody else had it.
Everybody had it. Yep. 3.
So my favorite single shot from any comic book film is when Cap is staring down Thanos' army. That's the oh shit moment. And then you hear like the staticky like Cap on your left, and then the portals open up, everyone comes out. Alan Silvestri's music, phenomenal. He should have been nominated for for the Oscar. So travesty that he wasn't. But yeah, seeing all the Avengers and all the armies of the MCU come together and fight against Thanos' army, like the might of Earth and Asgard and Wakanda all together. Beautiful moment. Like they could not have made a better, culmination scene for this.
Sorry. Yeah. But I mean, not much to add to that, just an absolutely, just badass scene all the way through, a lot of little quips in there. Why am I forgetting the Doctor Strange's monk friend? I can't pull his name right now.
What, you wanted more? Wong?
Yeah. So Wong. Yeah. And it's just like, you wanted more and just stuff like that. I mean, just a perfectly well-rounded scene and just absolutely badass the entire time. I mean, you had to include it somewhere.
Yeah. I also include. I know you don't like this version of Thanos as much, Cody, and I don't either. I actually like the Infinity War Thanos better. His speech right before this, in all my years of violence, conquest, it was never personal. But what I'm going to do to your pathetic little planet, it's so good. And then you see the army from the Avengers come back. You see the Outriders come back from Infinity War, and you're like, holy crap, this is the biggest army Thanos has had. And then to just hear and dude, I love Cap, man. He's ready to take on all of it. He's about to do it all by himself. But then to get that relief that you hear the reason the snap is so good is also the reason this moment is so good. The snap wouldn't be as good without this payoff. This is the best payoff you could have. And then I agree with Wong saying he wanted more, and then they actually get more because Scott has saved Rocket, Rhodey, and Hulk. And then finally, Avengers assemble. And then Thor with the battle cry. And that's all I need in life. I'm good.
Yeah, Portals is that scene that opens up. Like Wong looks over and was like, well, you want more, basically? What the fuck are you expecting? When the Guardians and Spider-Man and everybody jumps out, you're like, this is how you save salaries on this movie. This is how you save salaries. You don't include them for a long fucking time and then watch the whole battle too. Yeah, I think this is incredible. I guess Portals, do you consider that like the final I don't know. But like everything this end scene, this ending of this movie is just incredible. Like, let's be real. So yeah, great choice. I knew this was going to be close. Okay, we're here. We're finally here. It's closed out. Koho, give us I guess I give out overall list. Okay, the winner of your list sucks for the weeks. It's back and forth. It's basically a tie, if I'm going to be 100% honest, between two people. They're pretty close. So A and A minus, whatever you want to give yourselves. It's Twig and Robert. They're pretty close back to back. I don't care. You guys can just share it. I think the Party of Age of Ultron. You both had stuff that just was up and down. Like I would have took a little bit. I would have not had that one. Like stuff like that. But you overall had the scenes that I would probably have included the most. So well done. Scully comes in third. Scully did really well this episode. Scully actually wins the episode, like the final list. I think Scully has a great final list. No Man's Land's the only one I disagree with, but that's just that's a nitpick. But like to take the bold choice of Aunt May on there to Cap's Crash, either I disagree or not. But like Bank Heist, Portals, two Xaviers, the ending like that. Well done. What's Up Danger? That high and. Carly gets last, but not because it's bad. Carly has, I think, one that people missed. I think the pencil trick is fantastic. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I think it's great in there. Deadpool, you're never going to win Deadpool at 2, but that's fine. The overall combined list, everybody can read it themselves. Like I'm not going to go through and read because I'm half asleep at this point. Scott Pilgrim's on there, so that makes me a little upset. But Aunt May's speech made it, so that's cool. The Iron Man's at 32, that's a little low, but I mean, where math breaks down. Then the number one. So the number one scene of all time is Portals from Avengers Endgame. Yeah. Everybody had it. Number 2 was What's Up Danger. 3 was Thor in Wakanda. 4 was the bank heist of the Dark Knight. 5 was the interrogation from the Dark Knight. Freebird from the Kingsman was at 6. Cap and Bucky versus Tony at Civil War 7. That makes me sad that it's that low. The airport scene. No Man's Line at 9. Fine. Captain lifts Thor's hammer basically at 10. That's a little surprising too. That it's so low. Top 15, The Snap. Yondu's Funeral. Deadpool. Ooh. 14 was the first flight from. Oh God, kill me. Over Logan's death. Okay, we're overall list for the month. Overall, goes behind and sick. But overall, this was a great list. I give the overall list probably like a C plus B. I think we decided it's best animated features. It's going to be coming out in February. I think Koho is going to host that one for us. I think Koho is actually going to take the hosting chair for the 4 weeks. Again, I have 8 people watching. People go back and watch this. Please, if you want to be on top 40, under 40% of Rotten Tomatoes, please be on. If it's a shitty-ass movie and you have shitty-ass takes, be on the show. Defend your list. Come on, let's have fun. It's going to be a fun, relaxing show because they're all shitty movies and you like it. Movie character protagonist next week, and then holiday movies to close out before we start our next top 100 with pre-record. I will announce everything. Our pre-recorded one, the last 3 episodes of that will be live. So the top 20 and top 10 will be live, so you'll get to be able to publicly roast Nazario, Mike, Cameron Holtzman, and Andrew Barr. Then the next one, February, will be top 40, and then the following will be March, and that will be the next top 100 where I will be on. So if you want to be on a top 100, start compiling your list because it's a long commitment, but if you can be on every week, try to commit to that. Thanks, Koho, for everything Koho does for the show.
Thank you.
One day your salary will be there. It's right now in candy canes and Tootsie Rolls. Other than that, I'll give you Brisk Tea. $30 will give you at least 30 collections. That would be a great deal. But thank you all for being on. You committed for 4 weeks. You had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with everyone. You took some beatings from the comments, but listen, that's the point of the show. I appreciate everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week.
My God, what just happened?
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Return to your lady friend. Duncan, please return to your lady friend.
Long live the king.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Help me.